Everyone, welcome back to another episode of J is for Justice podcast. I am your host, Jay, and welcome. If you're new here, please do consider subscribing. And if you like my video, please give it a thumbs up. Hope you guys are having a wonderful Sunday. It is Sunday Fun Day or Sunjay Fun Day, however you want to word it. And we are going to be sharing a deep dive today on the antivirus guru and fugitive, John McAfee. Interesting life he led, but he's got a lot of interesting things to talk about in all of these interviews that he's done. And we're going to do a deep dive into his life and thereafter. And we also have an update at the very end from his wife, or shall I say ex-wife, Janice, on what's going on in Spain, where he passed away. Thank you for joining me today and spending your Sunday afternoon with me. It is 3 p.m. on the East Coast. All right, well, let's get into it. And if you are replaying this, keep the conversation going in the comment section. I always love reading all of your comments. All right, so we start out with John McAfee being born in 1945.
He was born in the UK, but it was on a US military base. His dad was in the military, Don Harold McAfee, and his mother was British. So yeah, he did say that he felt as British as he did American.
And his mom is Joellen Williams, and his dad is Don Harold McAfee. They met when Don was serving as a soldier in the Second World War. And then later, Don, his dad, was moved to Roanoke, Virginia, and worked as a road surveyor when John was young. Now, tragically, fast forward to 1961, and John's dad kills himself.
Yeah.
So I think that was a big framer in this man's life.
Mm-hmm. He was only 15 years old as well. And his dad was an abusive alcoholic.
Yeah, he was afraid of his father.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he did talk about, like, he was worried that he would get beaten and stuff like that.
Yeah, I guess it was like walking on eggshells.
And I think that, maybe keeping that in mind will explain, some of the haps in his life later. But initially, he seemed to be okay, right? Faring well. In 1967, he got a bachelor's degree in mathematics from Roanoke College. He then was accepted into Northeast Louisiana State College, now the University of Louisiana at Monroe, with a for a PhD in mathematics. So in 1968, he became a programmer for NASA. And after working there for a couple of years, he went to work for Lockheed Martin. Crazy. 1978, in the mid-70s, he's employed as an operating system architect at Xerox. He then joins Computer Sciences Corporation as a software consultant in 1978. So that's pretty high tech for that time. Like, yeah. I'm sure normal people were like, what's a software consultant?
System.
Like, what's software?
Or a system architect.
Yeah, operating system architect. Yeah, operating system, what's that? In 1978, I was 5. So I knew nothing. I barely had a speak and spell.
So 1980 to 82, he works for the consulting firm Booz Allen Hamilton. Throughout this period, he remains addicted to alcohol and drugs. And that could be one of the reasons he is unable to find stability in any job. 1983, he's working for Omex, but is fired as his alcoholism and drug dependency becomes severe. He joins Alcoholics Anonymous and gets sober. While working at Lockheed, later in the 80s, he starts developing software on the side to combat computer viruses as he senses their menace would grow manifold in the coming years. He goes on to found his own computer antivirus company, McAfee Associates. 1989. He quits his job at Lockheed to devote himself wholeheartedly to his fast-growing business. The threat of viruses increased worldwide, and soon McAfee became a multi-million-dollar business. Insane.
Yep. So he made that a multi-million-dollar business, and then in the mid-90s, he's like, F this shit. It doesn't even work.
Yeah, it's a load of shit.
He sells off all of his stake in the business. And he had $100 million when he was bought out.
And he did it because he wasn't having fun anymore either. Like he said in the beginning, he was doing all, like, he was actually trying to create things that was going to stop the antivirus and stuff. So he was having fun because it was like hands-on things. They'd stay up all night. They'd work on it for days. But then as the business grew to like 2,000 people, he was like managing the whole thing. So he was running the whole business. So he was in board meetings and managing personnel issues and things. And he was just like, oh, this is boring now. I don't want to do it anymore. Mm-hmm. So he got his replacement, and then in 2 weeks he'd gone. Yeah,
he didn't want nothing to do with taking that to the next level.
He was done.
He was done. And so what does he do? But he takes his money and he retires in Belize, right? Intel agrees to buy McAfee Associates in a deal that values the antivirus company at $7.68 billion. The deal is completed in February 2011. By 2017, however, Intel sold the majority stake in McAfee to private equity company TPG. And then fast forward, now we get to the action of his life. April 2012. John McAfee has several brushes with the law. In April 2012, he is arrested for unlicensed drug manufacturing and possession of an unlicensed weapon.
So they thought that he was making meth.
Yes.
He was actually trying to make herbal antibiotics. When they did that raid as well, he answered the door naked. Naked holding a gun.
Oh, well, you know what, Potato? Thanks for that visual. All right, so here is our first clip. And this credit goes straight to John McAfee, his own YouTube.
When I was young, I was good looking, and so I got in trouble with women a lot.
Oh, with women?
Yeah, well, and they get the law sometimes.
Well, that's no problem.
Right, and then I got older and I got smarter and I started liking money more than women. And then I had other problems. I had really more money than a person could reasonably be expected to spend, assuming you tried hard and worked at it 8 hours a day.
John McAfee may be a poster child for how the recession has docked the rich.
Tonight on Nightline, losing a fortune, an exclusive behind-the-scenes look as a man who was once one of America's wealthiest people puts everything up for sale to the highest bidder. So,
entrepreneur John McAfee.
John McAfee.
Mr. McAfee.
John McAfee.
John McAfee.
John McAfee, a mathematician by training, knows about risk. In the late 80s, he developed the antivirus software that's probably on your computer. In the 90s, he pioneered instant messaging. In both cases, he grew bored and cashed out.
You find him? Well, where'd you expect? In the middle of the jungle.
So this entire thing is a swamp. This has been raised 8 feet from when I bought it. There's nothing but water here, which is why I have the problems with the crocodiles, because this has been their traditional hanging out area, and I've raised up a couple of acres, and now they want back in. There's a big-ass croc that hangs out down here somewhere. Come on, dogs, let's go. I mean, it's a massive 14-footer. It's a big one. little bit. Where did that hit?
We didn't see any splash this time.
I didn't either. What the fuck is that if it's not a croc? See, it's swimming away now.
It's the Loch Ness Monster.
John, for the record, can you tell us the name?
John McAfee. Thank you very much, my friend. I appreciate it.
Okay, thank you. Tell us more about this project with Heidi.
Yeah, we have a research laboratory on the New River. We've been studying the native plants along the banks of the New River and have identified a number of plants that have fairly remarkable antibiotic properties. And we've been extracting the molecules from these plants and creating a topical antibiotic, which we hope to market worldwide. And we go out, we find by talking to bush doctors plants that may have antibiotic properties. It's a brand new field, and we are retesting now things that have been tested for 100 years in a laboratory environment, but using a new approach for testing. When bacteria get into your system, they do not immediately start chewing on you or doing bad things. If you get a flesh-eating bacteria, they're not eating it. They're creating protease, which is dissolving it. And protease is released through the process
This dude
of
probably
quorum
could have cured
sensing,
COVID.
meaning a
Like-
single bacteria gets into your system.
Seriously.
It would be insane for it to create protease. Why? Because it would signal that something is wrong. The white blood cells would go searching and going, what's causing this? Something bad happening. It would find the one bacteria. It would be toast. But it sits quietly while it multiplies, and suddenly there are 10 trillion of them. Now they can start eating you, because when the immune response is triggered, it's not just dispatching one, but trillions. So it's a real battle, and the bacteria have an opportunity to win. In the center, not reaching a quorum means that they are unable to hear one another. The color gene was not activated. So the substance that we were testing here clearly worked. It prevented a quorum from being detected, not reached, but detected, and the bacteria did not activate the gene. The same thing here. We don't care if the substance kills them. We don't care if it prevents them from replicating. All we care about is, does it deafen them? Does it make them unable to detect the presence of other bacteria? If so, it's a win for us.
What do you want to accomplish from this?
Well, I'd like to help people that are immune to many of the bacteria, like staph infections that our existing antibiotics no longer work for.
John, this is moving from one extreme to the next, from doing antivirus, now going to...
Well, to me, it's exactly the same thing. One is antivirus on computers, and the other is antibacterial with people. Same business. Good to see you. How are you?
Good. Thank
Good.
you.
Is Mark here?
Yeah.
Good.
Upstairs.
It was largely, it was just in response to, there's got to be a better way than shooting them. Yeah, there has to be. There's got to be a better way. It makes no sense at all. These are a really cool cat, these guys.
Oh my goodness.
They're very neat.
Jaguar.
That's a jaguar. I don't know if you pick him up, but that's a jaguar looking out of the bush just up here. He may or may not be dead. I'm not sure if he's one of the two.
Shot.
Yeah. As soon as we get to know where they are, we're going to put 2 cameras on where they pass, and as soon as we get 2 cameras, we can then feed the image of the cats into software that'll identify them. Cats in the period of a couple of weeks have gone from being a liability to being a plus.
A revenue source.
Oh, absolutely. It's certainly preferable to sitting on your ass and watch them get shot, simply because a shotgun shell is cheap. And perhaps we'll learn something out of this. If it doesn't work, we'll learn things that don't work, which will help us do a better job next time. But either way, we're gonna put our money where our mouth is and go out and do it. It'll be a shitload of fun.
No, I know it'll be fun. I want to be involved.
Very, very cool. Our planes will be available, and we'll do whatever we can for you. I think fun, my friend. You're out of here. Thank you again, Brad. All right, mate. You take care. Have a good trip out. The thing we really need to talk about is what are we going to do? Sergio's death left us shy a very important person in the lab and for sample collections. Allison's leaving would have been tolerable had she simply left. But unfortunately, she left with everything that we own. Notes, samples.
Okay, so what he's talking about here is the lab he had. The girl that was the researcher left and destroyed everything. So as soon as it's done, we're going to break down everything that you've just seen.
And what she didn't take, she destroyed. We have to start over. So this is the situation. In order to start over, we have to have a new lab director. We have to get a chemist or a microbiologist that either has experience in quorum sensing or is willing to sit down and read a few books. We really do, in many ways, have a massive advantage in we're starting from nothing, but we can probably get back to where we were fairly quickly. So.
What are your feelings? Do you think that any of us?
This was very important to him. Because
no, absolutely not.
This is his footage he put together, and crazily enough, it premiered on YouTube 3 days after he died. I can't. So someone was premiering the shiz 3 days after he passed.
No good will come of it, I can promise you. So anyway, I'm anxious to see what his story is, and I'm thinking it's going to be that she didn't trash the lab, that I did, or Anna did, or Mardea did. More than likely me.
Look at his button.
that when she left, it was in perfect order, and I went in and stole the chips and destroyed the samples, and for whatever reason. The story is, if you have sufficient money or power or influence or whatever it's perceived, or even if you don't have it but you are perceived to have it, then people change who they are merely to get a chance to have favor. Personal relationships, friends. You discover that making friends is really easy now. Okay. In fact, it's impossible not to make a friend if you'll merely talk to somebody. And then suddenly they are nice, accommodating. Suddenly everybody agrees with you. You're like, man, this tastes like shit. Then everybody goes, yeah, this is awful. I never eat here. You know, well, there's nothing more annoying to me than having to talk
your ass
to myself.
kissed.
You know, if I will hang with someone for 4 or 5 days and there's absolutely nothing that I say or do which is offensive to them, then get the fuck out of my life. I'm sorry, because that can't be real. I'm an offensive person. I have opinions that grate on nearly everyone. I live my life through other people. Life to me is relationship, and existence is relationship. I don't think people in total isolation can fulfill a human potential because, we are how we relate to the world. So I see me as merely the reflection of you. And Mardea and these dogs and the chair I'm sitting in and the ideas that wander through my brain. It's as simple as that. And I don't care whether I talk to a prostitute or some quintillionaire that lives on the world. It's all the same to me. They are my fellow travelers on this planet. They each have a fucking unique story. And they each have a relationship with the world. And I'm just telling a story.
He's so
Really,
right.
it's my story as told through the people around me, by my voice. That's it.
Here, we're going to go into this next clip. This is with Patrick Bet-David, and this is an interview in Belize. And even though we're, going to like 2020 is when this was recorded, he's talking about his past. So I'm going to play this.
If you don't mind us going back, who were you in high school? I'm just really curious. If I went to high school with you in 10th grade, junior year, who was John McAfee in high school?
Oh, I don't know. I was a crazy character. I got almost straight A's. I studied hard. and did not go out for sports. That was it. I was a nerd.
Truly, you were a nerd. So you were not partying. You didn't have the girlfriend. You weren't playing the
I had
sports.
girlfriends. Yeah, I mean, nerds had girlfriends back then. If you were smart.
Oh my
Got it.
gosh.
So after
Okay,
high
guy.
school, you're when I study some of the things that you pursued, you were I think you worked Xerox, Lockheed, and you were NASA, right? Prior to starting McAfee. So at what point you said, I just think I want to start this antivirus software. What inspired you want to start McAfee?
Well, that was sort of an accident. I had I was living with my brother-in-law in Santa Clara, California, and he was reading the local newspaper about this thing called brand new thing, computer virus. And he was reading it out loud. I said, "Give me that paper." So I read the article. I thought, "Good Lord, what is this thing?" I mean, a virus. It could replicate itself, move from one machine to another. Well, that was fascinating. So I sat and I thought about it. How on earth could someone do this? And then it occurred to me how they did it. And at the same time, it occurred to me how I could stop it. So I just wrote a little program. And I ran a bulletin board system. Bulletin boards were the precursor to the internet. I had 16 phone lines coming into my house. I mean, I only have 16 simultaneous users. But people would download software from one bulletin board, upload it to another, and in a matter of days, millions of people could access things. So I wrote a little program, and 2 weeks later, 5 million people were using it.
2 weeks later.
2 weeks later.
1987, 2 weeks later, 5 million people were using it.
2 weeks.
Yes.
You saw that kind of growth in 2 weeks.
Yes.
That is unbelievable. That is unbelievable.
Well, I was the only one that had a program for it.
At that time.
At that time.
And so immediately everybody said, I need to have something like this to protect myself.
Everybody, right?
Got it.
And I thought that was the end of it. And then 2 weeks later, another virus occurred called the Jerusalem virus. And then they just started coming hot and heavy, and I had to keep updated with all these viruses. So pretty soon, everybody was using the McAfee virus scan.
Unbelievable how this whole thing gets started.
Mm.
So
an accident. Or just
purely accidental.
Yeah, well, I didn't expect anything to happen. I thought, well, here, if anybody's worried, run this program.
When you were going at that time, were you connected with the Jobs and the Gates? Was there a relationship there or not at all?
No,
you were completely...
Not at that time.
Not at that time. Got it. And didn't Intel end up buying McAfee in 2011 for some $7.7 billion, I think $48 a share, some number like that. And now today, you can't get on a computer without seeing McAfee somewhere. That's your last name. That's your name. That's all over the place. And so today, you hear and you read up on it. How do you feel about the product now since you've been away from it since 1994? What do you think about the product now 24 years later?
Well, antivirus software no longer works. That paradigm that I invented does not work in the modern world of the internet and hackers and social engineering. New hacking techniques have obviated virus scanning software. It's non-functional, yet everybody continues to buy it because that's all that they know. But the paradigm is past. And I was the first to say it. 5 years ago, I went public and said, virus scan software is useless. It cannot protect us from modern threats.
It cannot protect us from modern. So how do we protect ourselves today?
Well, that's not the question. I mean, most hacking is social engineering, which is problematic. Meaning, it's using people rather than hacking into a system and trying to find passwords. You start calling secretaries or people in the company, and you have a story, and they suddenly give you the information rather than you having to hack into it yourself. This is 99% of all hacks today.
99% of all the hacks today. Got it. So meaning that no matter what I do, if somebody really wants to infiltrate my system and get the information they want out of me, there's really not much I can do about it.
No, nothing at all. Nothing at all.
He was actually found liable in the death of his nephew. And I'm going to read through this really fast. Antivirus pioneer John McAfee, who leapt into international attention when he went on the run after his next door neighbor was found murdered in Belize, has been found legally responsible for another man's death in Arizona and ordered to pay $2.5 million in damages. And I don't think this article actually says it's his nephew. I found out because I'm a nosy biatch. But what happened was Robert Gilson was in an ultralight and crashed in a remote canyon in Arizona in 2006. And 22-year-old Joel Gordon Batow, oh yeah, it does say it was his nephew, who also died, was McAfee's nephew. So at the time of Bitow's death, he was the head flight instructor of a company that McAfee had tons of companies, had established to promote the sport of aero trekking. It involved flying very small aircraft at very low altitudes over remote and often rugged terrain. Aviation experts criticize the pastime as reckless. So his nephew died in this venture he had going on, and he ended up having to fork out $2.5 million in 2006. Before we move into 2012, he did start a yoga. He opened a yoga retreat in no other than Woodland Park, Colorado, the home of Patrick Frazee and Kelsey Barrett. This is what the place is now. Okay. So obviously you can find pictures of, this online of the actual place, but this is it now. So I thought that was kind of interesting. Let me show you a little bit of this. So it's called the Pikeview Lodge, and it's featured in the Woodland Park Holiday Tour of Homes. 5-bedroom, 4-bathroom lodge located near Colorado Springs. Walk out the back deck and see the best view of Teller County of Pikes Peak. So this is the place. This is the old yoga retreat, you guys.
What is the name of it again?
Now it's called the Pikeview Lodge. His yoga retreat, you guys, he had like 280 acres in Woodland Park, Colorado. And this is the yoga retreat. And he let people stay for free.
Oh, wow. For free?
Yeah. And some people said they got Epstein vibes from that. But other people were like, no, it was just chill. So John said when he was asked, why did you close the yoga retreat? And he said, people stayed for free. People took advantage. I quietly walked away.
It looks amazing.
Whatever that means, right? Quietly walked away. It looks absolutely gorgeous. Like, I want to go here.
Yeah.
I want to go to freaking Belize too, where he's been. It's beautiful. You guys are going to be like, oh, it's so gorgeous. Like, I understand why he retired there.
Yeah.
I mean, hell to the yes. Beautiful. But yeah, so that was his yoga thing. And he really believed in yoga. He really felt like it was a really good way to relieve his stress because he wasn't like a sports kind of guy. Really interesting how innovative he is and so ahead of his time, and then of course the psychotropics come in to play again.
Mm-hmm.
Yet again, we have this little web, right?
Yeah. I think it's interesting that whatever he does, it's always something that he's really interested in. Like he's enjoying it and he's having fun. And when it's not serving him anymore, he moves on.
Yeah. Let's go to Belize, right? So we're in Belize. After he sells the yoga place, he takes off to Belize. And while in Belize, he's living this lifestyle of young women, probably 5 or 6 living with him. 12 or so well-armed security guards. And then he's got this neighbor, Gregory Fall. John has these dogs all over the beach. Like his home's right on the beach. You guys will see. And he's got these dogs and they annoy this Greg, next door neighbor.
Mm-hmm.
And Greg has had it. The next door neighbor decided to poison John's dogs. So he threw like steak or meat over the fence. And one of the security guards came in, John, the dog's foaming at the mouth. And his girlfriend at the time said that he went and got a gun. And he said he was going to put the dog out of its misery because he realized they had all been poisoned. And she said that was the only time that she had ever seen John McAfee cry was because he had to put the dogs out of their misery. So he was pissed. And then they said the girls that lived there were interviewed later and they were like, he was pacing back and forth, cigarette after cigarette, pissed. So the next day, Gregory's housekeeper shows up and old boy's on the floor, shot in the back of the head at close range.
Mm-hmm.
He gone.
Yeah.
So who's the number one suspect?
McAfee.
McAfee. So here we have McAfee as the number one suspect. They raid his place and he says, I got to get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, he ran.
Straight
He was
up.
out.
Straight up. So he got one of his guys to get him out of Belize and into Guatemala with no, paper trail. So they threw him on a damn boat, him and his girl, and they go to Guatemala. And then Guatemala finds out he's there and has entered the country illegally.
Yeah.
So now he's wanted in Guatemala. And he's like, fuck. So that brings us to our next clip. In this video, he let Vice TV follow him around everywhere he went. Ultimately, that's how he got apprehended because of the metadata in a damn picture that they took of him. Gave away his location.
I mean, pictures, everybody knows that if you send a picture to someone, it is tied to a location. You can find out where that person is. Like,
yeah, exactly.
Well, when this guy was on the run, he was in a room that he had sealed off with metal, whatever, so no signals can get through. And that was where him and his wife used their phones, their computers. They did not use electronics outside of that room, and no one knew where they were. Now we're going to go. This is a video from Vice TV. And this is where John is stating on the record his alibi for the night that Greg was murdered, and also talking to a lawyer that his young little girlfriend, it was like her uncle or something. So let's watch that.
I need a lawyer. And Sam tells me you are a good lawyer.
You think that you can have that conference for tomorrow?
Trust me, sir. Every newspaper in the world will fly here instantly to talk to me. Yes, please forgive my appearance. I need a tailor that can very quickly, sir, make a suit, a shirt, because I cannot speak like this.
I forgot.
There we will give the explanations.
Okay.
The press conference. Okay.
I need to do it. I need my suit.
Yeah, that's the problem.
Okay. Do you have the power, sir, to make this man sew a little faster?
Of course. Where are
Okay,
you? Where are you? Of course.
You're confident that you can prove your innocence.
I think there's nothing to prove. I was not there. I was with Sam the entire night. I've had more than half a dozen witnesses to the fact. I had no motive. I had no access to a 9mm. I don't know what there is to prove, really. Whatever it is they want to talk to me about, I think has very little to do with the murder of Mr. Fall and very much to do with their collecting me on any charge whatsoever. Where do we have to go? We'll do it now. Just do it now. Come on. Right now. You've never seen this before, have you?
No, never in my life.
This is my life in America, sweetie. So you'll see that I am quite comfortable with this. I have, for 5 years, lived in Belize peacefully. 7 months ago, the Belizean government sent 42 armed soldiers into my property. They killed one of my dogs. They broke into all of my houses. They stole. They arrested me and kept me handcuffed in the sun for 14 hours. I was taken to jail, and it was only the intervention of the U.S. Embassy that got me out of jail. Since that time, I have been continually harassed by the government. They have attempted to charge me with every crime, ranging from running an antibiotics laboratory without a license, to hiring security guards without a license, to having improper paperwork for my company, and most recently, the murder of my neighbor. I had to leave, but the story has to get out. I have documentation that proves the intense corruption at all levels of the Belizean government. Now that I'm in a safe place, I can speak freely. I will be talking on my blog, whoismcafee.com, starting tonight, revealing the truth about Belize, and thank you very much.
Okay, this is also from Vice, and this is of him being detained in Guatemala. Here's another clip of his arrest in Guatemala. This is from ABC News. This is another Vice, and this is after John was arrested, and this is called On the Run with John McAfee.
Mr. McAfee has been arrested just across the border of Belize in the country of Mexico. Write that down.
I'm calling in a tip about John McAfee. He got apprehended in Union, in Mexico.
How many people at the checkpoint? BDF, police? I could walk into the police station, ask directions, and they would give me directions because you misdirect people.
What's your name?
It's Paul.
Paul.
Oh, yeah, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
I would never say, hang myself with my pants. How would you do that? I did say that lots of people hang themselves in Belizean jails. Mr. Henderson told the first lawyer that I sent to ask my guns back, he said, if Mr. McAfee does not like it here in Belize, why doesn't he leave?
Put myself in their hands, I think, is lunacy. I really do. Well, what I can expect is that the GSU will do what the GSU does, beat me soundly until I confess to a multitude of sins, including, I guess, the murder of Jimmy Hoffa, and then to simply execute me. And the execution would be the preferred method here in Belize. The people die in prison constantly, and I did not kill him. Good Lord. Well, I just can't conceive of myself doing anything like that. Okay, so if I'm a suspect, why are they arresting my friends? Why did they arrest my caretaker, my housekeeper, my security guard, his wife, for heaven's sake, who had a 2-year-old baby? I am innocent of everything they're accusing me of, except probably foolishness for staying here in the country, although I still intend to stay. You intend to stay? You're not going to leave the country? Okay.
I'm not going to leave the country. I love this country. This is my home, sir.
Okay, not going to leave the
country. I intend to fight the injustice that's here from here. I can't do much from outside.
And that was a call from jail after he was arrested. So here is an interview with, I guess we're just going to keep rolling because there's a lot to cover. This is an interview on ABC News where he is saying that the Belize government is trying to assassinate him.
Software millionaire turned murder suspect. ABC's Matt Gutman is in Belize where he spoke with John McAfee by phone yesterday.
Hello? As we tried to find John McAfee late Wednesday, the increasingly paranoid American millionaire, now on the run from police here in Belize, found us.
On the phone, of course, talking face to face is going to be a very difficult thing, sir, because people know you are a reporter. You may think that you're not being followed, but I can assure you you are.
In a bizarre phone conversation which began in downtown San Pedro, Belize, McAfee told us he didn't murder his 52-year-old neighbor, Greg Fall, Saturday night.
That's certainly innocent of the charges that are leveled against me in the press.
You're innocent of the charges. Police say he is a person of interest, but have not called him a suspect or charged him. Despite that, McAfee says he's now in hiding, fearful of what he calls a corrupt government.
What you're saying, and what I think you've been saying for a couple of days now, is that you're sincerely concerned that if you somehow wind up in their custody, they're going to assassinate you.
Absolutely.
Belize's prime minister publicly taunting McAfee Wednesday.
It strikes me that he's extremely paranoid. In fact, I would go so far as to say bonkers.
And police here say they have good reason to question him. This document, obtained exclusively by ABC News, shows that just a month before he was murdered, Fall complained to local authorities about the former software tycoon, saying his neighbor had dangerous guards and vicious dogs at his beachside compound. Falk told police McAfee's security was walking around with shotguns at night, menacing people, even complaining of taxis at all hours of the night ferrying girls to the house. Then on Friday, McAfee says he found 4 of his dogs poisoned. To be humane, he says...
Did you see that sign? It said, "Stop killing my animals, please, thanks."
Shot and buried them here. The next day, Fall was dead.
He ought to man up and respect our laws and go in and talk to the police.
Given these recent photos in Wired, McAfee says the media have portrayed him as gun-obsessed and insane.
You did not used to walk around armed, is what you're saying.
Oh, yeah, I walk around armed, but normally with a pistol and a holster, wearing clothes, for Christ's sake.
And McAfee bristles at the allegations he's insane.
If I were a madman, how could I judge?
For Good Morning America.
So this is, John met this reporter and he came in disguise. So listen how he describes it. This is great.
Martin, good to have you with us. Police in Belize have repeatedly said this guy is not a suspect in the death of his neighbor and that he has no reason to fear being harmed. So why is McAfee still on the run? How does he explain it?
Yeah, it's a very good question, and it's a question I put to him, Aisha. And as you point out, we've heard from him many times while he's been on the run. This is the first time you see him, and it makes all the difference in the world. And the conversation I have with him range from the absolutely stone-cold credible to the almost amazing and unbelievably crazy kind of story, and then it switches back to the credible again. I began by asking him the questions the authorities want to know, which is, did he have anything to do with the murder of his neighbor, Greg Fall? He said, absolutely not. Did he hire somebody to kill him? No, he did not. Does he know who killed Greg Fall? No, he does not. Then I said, why don't you go in and just explain that to the police? And that's where the crazy comes in. He launches into this explanation that it's a government plot. They're out to get him. They're going to kill him if they capture him. And it all goes back to a bribe he didn't pay to a politician. It is clear that for John McAfee, he feels like a man running out of options, and the walls are closing in.
Now, mind you, this is 2012 that we're in right now. Just giving you a year update. So we played a lot of clips, but we're all in the same time frame.
Yeah.
And what have these weeks been like? It's been 3 weeks now. It hasn't been a lot of fun. I miss my prior life. Much of it has been deprivation, no baths, poor food at least. Here we're in bliss, hot showers, a stove. So we're fairly happy right now.
How is this going to end? How do you see this coming to an end?
I don't have a crystal ball. I'm going to continue to fight until something changes. So
you won't turn yourself in?
I will not.
So it will either be that somehow you get away or the authorities come and get you?
One of those two. Well, get away doesn't mean leave the country. It means that number one, they will find the murderer of Mr. Fall. Number two, the people of this country who are by and large terrified to speak out will start speaking out and something will change. But I will certainly not turn myself in, and I will not quit fighting. I'm not going to stop my blog, by the way, who is McAfee.com.
Okay, so this brings us to the next clip. This is so awesome. Had I known him on YouTube, before, like if this was years and years, if I was on YouTube, he was on all these podcasts openly, would go on any podcast. Then he had his own YouTube. And here he has this clip that I'm about to play for you from August 28th of 2013. And he wants people to use his raw footage to make remix videos. So he says, insults, media, or any other requests, please use the contact us section at whoismcafee.com. So let's watch this video. It's 6 minutes long, and this is called John McAfee Tells All. And this is his raw footage.
Oh. Hello there. My name is John McAfee. In my last video, I didn't have much time to tell you much about myself. I do apologize. From your emails, I know that many of you have questions about me. I myself have questions about me, although I don't think you can help me with them. The four most popular factual questions are, number one, did I murder my neighbor in Belize? Was I manufacturing illegal drugs in Central America? Was I having sex with underage girls, and was I using bath salts? I can answer a resounding no to all three of those questions. Was I really living with 7 women in Belize? Now, that's a tricky one. There were, in fact, days when all 7 were present. The constant bickering, jealousies, and demands for attention reached such an extreme on those days that Often I considered tying a boat anchor around my waist and walking off the end of my pier. But generally 2 or 3 were absent, and sometimes more.
He's such a
The
smart ass.
absentees usually were absent because they were plotting with outsiders to rob me, murder me, torture me, or all three. I could never decide whether I preferred the constant plotting or the constant bickering. Life is an imperfect affair at best. But in any case, these are the 7 women. From left, Amy 2, Amy 1, Marcia, Angie, Tamisha, Zyra, and dear Samantha. Another common question is, did these women really try to kill me? Well, not all of them, of course. In fact, fewer than 50% tried to kill me. Although the few that did try seemed downright proud of it.
I was angry, whatever, and I was ready to shoot him, and for some reason I missed.
You tried to shoot him?
Uh-huh.
Yes.
And I also tried to cut his throat, but he just leaned against the wall and said, do it.
I'm still deaf in my left ear from a gunshot fired at close range when Amy tried to shoot me in the head. Marcia and Samantha, while no less vitriolic, kept their attempts more private. Of the 3, Marcia was certainly the most entertaining. She was a very sweet girl, as this picture shows. Samantha's attempts to kill me were too numerous to recount. She and Amy 1 were my favorites. Here's a photo of us in better times. But enough of the girls.
Oh my God.
Many of you wanted to know why I possessed and carried so many guns. Well, get real. A lot of you wanted to know whether I really did escape from police using elaborate disguises. The press doubted it and made a great deal of fun about me because of it. This report from CNN should answer that.
Just hours ago, CNN's own Martin Savage found McAfee in Belize in an elaborate disguise, and he talked on camera.
There were, of course, a multitude of questions, like, am I really a paranoid schizophrenic? Honestly, people, what sort of answer would you expect if I was? About the only question I didn't receive is, where did I bury the body of Jimmy Hoffa? Well, it absolutely is not in the parking lot of McAfee corporate headquarters. Really. I mean it. No need to look there. You're not going to be checking on this, are you? Good then. Now, you're probably asking yourself why you're wasting time watching this crap. So I'll tell you why you're here. I had originally intended to do a second video, ridiculous and humorous like the first, and in fact shot the entire thing in front of a green screen a few weeks back. Let me show you a clip from that. Since I became a badass, my world has changed completely around. Cops and public officials are on my payroll. Pimps, hoes, and drug dealers give me respect. Hey. And I do what I want, when I want. And you can too at the McAfee School of Badass. Problem is, I've temporarily lost my sense of humor and have no motivation to finish it. That's where you come in. I'm making all of the raw footage available to the general public to do with as you wish. Change it, add to it, make a music video out of it, make a video game, run the scenes backwards, change my words, anything that you'd like. Could be dangerous, Mr. McAfee, you're thinking. Well, keep in mind, I lived with a bunch of women all intent on dismembering me. This can't be much more dangerous. The 7 women thing, by the way, don't try that at home. Just some fatherly advice. The footage that you will receive ostensibly represents an advertisement for higher education. In truth, it is a tutorial for 2 things. The first, romantic love.
Try this. Bitch, bring me my food.
Bitch, bring me my food?
No.
The second is a tutorial on the more subtle aspects of communication.
All right, so what kind of problems you be having?
My boss?
Bitch mark.
Oof, he's really mean.
Your
Look at the
boss,
whiteboard.
Man, all you gotta do is like this. I'll cut you, bitch.
It is, in essence, a story of transformation.
Oh yeah, totally, bitch. Totally. Yeah, bitch.
Wait.
Some segments of the shoot, I
He
feel...
has McAfee's members only jacket on that he was wearing on CNN. This dude's great.
absolutely ashamed of. Specifically, my book. The Traveler's Guide to Cheap Pussy. The book was a lie. As every man worth his salt knows, there is no such thing as cheap pussy. But in spite of my shame, I'm including the footage. So have at it and have fun, folks.
Oh my God, he's crazy as hell. You've got to appreciate the creativity and the humor there. So he's a genius. He wanted these remixes to go out because he wanted to keep his name out there. He definitely wanted to keep his name out there and his story out there about this Belize shiz. Yeah, this is he's with Alex Jones.
Okay, that makes
Alex
sense.
Jones took John out to Steiner Ranch. I don't know what Steiner Ranch is, but maybe that's Alex Jones's. I don't know. But they fired 2 different 50 caliber guns. So we're rolling into 2013. This interview is a wild interview with John McAfee. And this is from Stark Insider. And this is an interview at a C2SV conference in San Jose, California. So it's C2SV as in Victor. And he talks about escaping Belize, which after his arrest, he was not extradited. He was deported to the United States. So he got to come back to the United States free and clear. Still wanted in Belize, but he came here, sent here from Guatemala. So Guatemala was like, get out of here. We're sending you back to your home country. He was like, awesome. So now we're in San Jose, California with John McAfee at this conference.
Everybody to recreate it themselves. And for 3 months, these highly intelligent people were dicking around with stove ovens and baking soda and kitchen utensils, doing absolutely nothing. And I just had the laugh of my life. I was naked, carrying a gun. I saw what was happening. I put my gun down, was thrown up against the wall, handcuffed, made to sit. They let me put some pants on right away, so out of politeness to the women in the crowd. There's no fun to look at a naked 68-year-old man, I can promise you. So it got me handcuffed in the sun for 14 hours, kneeling with my hands behind my back. A very painful thing. I do not recommend it for anyone, even those who are heavy S&M amongst you. It's not fun. So,
oh my God.
And then left without any charges. Why? 2 weeks earlier, the local politician, by the way, I lived on the island of San Pedro, which is a marvelous place. All the tourists go there. It's just like America. Speak English. Everybody's white. I moved to the interior, the only white man in a town of 10,000 people. And I moved into the backyard of the most powerful man in Belize. After I'd been there for a year, a representative came and said, why don't you donate $2 million to my patron's campaign, and in return, we'll give you all this land, and benefits, and so on. And I said, no. They raided my property 2 weeks later, came back 2 weeks after that and said, have you changed your mind? And I said, yes, I'm pissed off now. And so I went to the international press, and that was in May of 2012. And for 8 months, I ran an ongoing war with the Belizean government, demanding an apology at the very least, and getting the attention of the world government on the corruption and all the nightmares that were happening. I should have listened to my compatriot Americans and say, stay in San Pedro, fish, surf, and snorkel. I did not.
And then there was the neighbor.
The death of my neighbor, Mr. Fall, who I barely knew. That was a convenient thing for by the way, not to make light of Mr. Fall's death, Belize is one of the most dangerous countries in the world and is called the murder capital of the world by many organizations because the per capita death rate is the highest of any country in the world. I barely knew Mr. Fall. It was a convenient thing for the Belizean government to try to pick me up for questioning because in Belize, you may hold someone for questioning for 60 days with no charges, and you may renew that indefinitely. So I could have been 60 years waiting to be questioned. I chose not to go that route, and I went underground.
Why didn't you try to get a U.S. attorney or someone to help you out?
Well, you're assuming that the legal system in the rest of the world is much like here in the States, where a court order has bite. Now, let me give you an example. The telephone company in Belize was nationalized 3 years ago by the Belizean government. It was the company had been owned by a gentleman named Lord Ashcroft. Lord Ashcroft went to court. The appeals court said, hey, give it back. The prime minister, instead of giving it back, sent the army into the telephone headquarters and prevented the employees from coming back. There's no law there. I mean, why hire a lawyer? Why pay the lawyer to end up saying, gee, I can't do anything for you? You know, you suffer your losses in life. You know, you take what comes and move on. That's what I did.
So you already had the attention of the international press. You decided to run. Tell me about that. What was did you have an idea of what you were going to do? Did you have a plan, or did you just kind of move out?
Well, I just moved out. I mean, I left. I was planning to leave alone, and one of the women I was living with said, "You're not going without me."
That was Sam.
That was Samantha, a vicious little girl. And so, you know, rather than have Sam and the army after me, I took her with me. It was a wise choice. I felt my life was in danger, and I'm convinced it was. I had every single day written notices to some press somewhere. I had started a blog, and it had devastated the tourist industry in Belize. Tourism accounted for 70% of the Belizean gross national product. It dropped by 50% after I started my blog. They just wanted me out of the way. So, call that paranoid, call it not, I don't care. It's what was actually happening. The diversion tactic. All of the borders I was the number one, every single army officer and soldier and every policeman in the country had my photograph. And there was a bounty. And they had blocked all of the borders. However, the Belizeans, you know, are just very strange people. They tend to hire, for example, a policeman gets $42 a month, U.S. Now, from that, he's got to feed his family, send his children to school, pay his rent, and so on. It is not much money. So, not the smartest people take those jobs.
The net result of all of that, from a U.S. point of view, from a press point of view, from what people were reading in the newspapers and seeing on TV, was John has gone off the deep end. John is doing all these deceptive things. John has all these girlfriends. John's been dabbling in drugs. We don't know who this guy is anymore. Do you sort of feel bad about how much your persona changed through that experience?
Well, that was my persona as viewed through the press and as those who read the press and believe it. The press is notoriously inaccurate. Now, may I do a demonstration for you? May I ask for honesty from you folks for just 2 minutes? I'd like to see a raising of hands for those of you who have at any time in your life been divorced. Now, leave your hands up for just a moment. Okay. Yeah. Now, of those of you who have been divorced, at any time, were you unfaithful to your ex-wife or husband? Leave your hand up if you was. 5, 6, 7, 8. Anybody else? Some of you put your hands down after you kept them on. Okay, well, at least 8 people. Well, that's a pretty fair thing. Let me ask another question. How many of you people are currently married? Raise your hands. How many of you have actually been unfaithful to your current husband or wife? Nobody. Nobody. Do you see the statistical impossibility of these 2 samples? Now, okay, what is the difference? One is, I'm asking you about something that's current, something happening today. Now, what happened 5 years ago? You got your hand up, you're hoping the camera will go on, you go, yeah, bitch, see? You know? But now, no, you're currently married wife, please do not put the camera on me, and my hand never went up. Here's the point I'm trying to make. The press is consistently concerned with what's happening now. It is human nature. If you work downtown and there was a robbery next door to your work, and a policeman happens by and says, where were you today? You're going to try to find some reason to explain why you could not have done this. This is just human nature. And so the press is now saying, what about now and here? And trying to find truth. Well, good luck. So what it says is of no interest in it. I'd never heard of a computer virus, and up to that point, I think neither had anyone else, not even conceived of one. I was reading it thinking, what the heck is this? And then it came to me, oh, I know what they did. I got some code that really replicates itself. Cool. And as soon as I got that, I got, you know what, that's easy to fix. Cool. And I wrote a little program, and that was the beginning of McAfee.
At some point, all of that money sort of dwindled by press reports. There's one estimate that said that at your lowest point, your net worth was down to about $4 million. That may have been due to the recession and so forth. Is that accurate?
Again, I really have no clue. People ask me how much money. If someone wandered up to you in the street and said, "How much money do you have? What are you worth?" Would you be thrilled or offended, or what would you feel? You know, most people would be offended, and I'm like most people. Excuse me, I'm looking at I don't want to look. I'm very much like most people, and really, it's nobody's business. So the numbers that I throw out are numbers that I just randomly feel like throwing out. If the number 4 looks good today, I'll say I'm worth $4 million. You know? If the number 44 was the first two numbers of the lottery winner yesterday, I'll say, well, 44 million. You know, it's meaningless. Believe nothing I say when it comes to my worth. You know? It is no one's business but mine.
And so while you were, I think in Guatemala even, there were a couple of different people trying to get you to sign contracts for doing movies and so forth.
You bet.
Where does that stand now?
Well, you see, Warner Brothers just announced they had hired the screenwriters for their movie, On My Life, and I think that's based on Josh Davis's book, not one of my favorite people. Josh has done nothing but write about me for years, and it's sort of tragic in my mind. But in any case, the other one is by Future Impact Media in Montreal, Canada. Their screenplay is already finished, and I think it's a really spectacular project. That will be coming out in about a year. There's also a feature-length documentary that the BBC is doing, which unfortunately I had to sit still for about 14 days to, while they interviewed me. But that's all. That should be coming out in March of next year.
Now we're going to roll into 2015. And John is back on U.S. soil, and he is announcing his run for president.
But it's not another Republican or another Democrat. Brace yourself. Antivirus software pioneer John McAfee is throwing his hat in the ring. Now, the eccentric millionaire and one-time fugitive is running on a third party he created himself. John McAfee went on the record. All right, so is it official? Are you running for president? Have you filed the papers to run for president?
I filed the papers on Tuesday. I'm officially running, yes, ma'am.
And what is your party?
It's the Cyber Party. That's what we're calling it. It's I perceive our government as being fundamentally dysfunctional on a number of levels. The Office of Program Management leak that allowed the Chinese and Russians to gain access to 21 million files of government employees, many of them top secret covert agents overseas, is simply unpardonable.
All right, let me talk about some of the nuts and bolts of the campaign. You're going to go to Iowa?
No, ma'am. In fact, I'm running a purely electronic campaign. I think this will be the world's first. My party is building the infrastructure that will allow me to have fireside chats with all of America, as if I were sitting in your living room. And you can input questions.
Isn't that amazing? Come on. I mean, we think this is crazy. We had Trump, guys. We had Trump. I would much rather have McAfee fireside frickin' chats. Look at him. We'll have fireside chats. You can input questions. He would have been like the coolest president.
They will be collected and collated, and questions of a similar type will be answered, so that I can reach out and speak as if I'm sitting with you in your home. I won't be going to Iowa. I'm not going to be shaking any hands or kissing any babies, and my apologies to the American public, whose hands I will not shake, nor my apologies to the babies I will not kiss. But I will be made available in an unprecedented manner to the American public.
I know you have a profound interest in cyber issues, obviously, and I know your background. What about issues such as like ISIS? Do you have any sort of thoughts about if you're elected president, how you'd handle something like ISIS?
My campaign manager, who is holding a baseball bat right here, would break both of my kneecaps if I were to say anything specific about anything other than what I'm allowed to talk about, which is, at this point, generalities. We will release our full party platform within a couple of weeks, and that will be made clear.
If you're not going to tell me what you think about poverty or jobs, how you would actually solve that, you're just saying to me that you'd be a very delightful person for a dinner conversation, but I don't know if you can solve these problems.
Let's be realistic for a second, Greta. For example, 90% of what's actually happening in the government, we have no clue about. We really do not.
Why wouldn't you vote for Donald Trump?
I didn't say I wouldn't vote for Donald Trump. I don't think I'd vote for anybody except for myself, and I don't think they would vote for me.
Why wouldn't he be a good president?
Donald Trump is a very intelligent entrepreneur. He is also quick-witted and fast on his feet. I have no problem with him, other than I might ask him, hey, Donald, what about the hair? Hillary Clinton, a very gracious woman for being put up with Bill for all of those years. Again, very intelligent. But these people have spent their lives behind desks. I've been out into the world. I have also run multi-billion-dollar companies like Trump. Not as many, not as large. I'm 7 years old. I have some experience. I see the problems. I do not see the solutions because I don't see the roots of the problems. Neither do you, neither does Donald Trump, and maybe Hillary does. Hillary actually had a husband who sat in that office, and she was privy to things that I am not, and you are not, Greta, and certainly Donald Trump is not. So Hillary may have some answers, and if anybody has answers, she may, but no one else will. We are not privy to the things that you want me to solve right now. And that's the fact. And if it does not satisfy you, then I'm really sorry. But truth is truth, and fact is fact.
I would be remiss.
So in other words, he's saying there's not a damn thing the president can do because they don't know the core issues. So if they're telling you they're going to do this, that, and the other, they're fucking lying, which we know. We always get told lies.
If I didn't ask you about the time when you were considered a person of interest in a homicide, where does that stand?
Well, the person of interest, I interviewed all the neighbors. However, I was sort of at war with police at the time over the fact that they had stormed my property in the jungle, destroyed my laboratory, and shot my dog in front of my eyes. By the way, with an AR-15 supplied by the American government, shot by a soldier trained by the FBI in Quantico. No, I was not charged with anything. Yikes. They wanted to question me. Now, in a third world country in Central America, frequently that involves stringing you up by the heels, putting a football helmet on your head, and beating it with a baseball bat until your brains turn to mush. That's not the type of questioning I'm interested in, Greta. So I've offered police, if you really do want to question me, come to America or any neutral country. They've ignored me. They really don't want to question me. They wanted to punish me for exposing all sorts of corruption. So I was not charged. You forgot to bring up the DUI for a few weeks ago in Tennessee, and I'll explain that. That was based on a prescription medication I obtained that day and took that day for the very first time. I did not do well with it. 2 hours after taking it, I was arrested. My lawyer assures me the case will be dismissed. There was no alcohol. There were nothing else that was taken. So, if this is a problem again.
Wait, that mugshot. Let's go back to the mugshot. I can't. Oh, man.
In the name of Jesus, Father God, Lord.
That was taken. So, if this is a problem again, I am not a perfect person, and I will fess up to anything that I've done. Unlike Bill Clinton, I smoked dope too. Only I did inhale, and I took other drugs. And you may ask me any question, I will be transparent about it. But is this the issue? Is it really the issue? Is it to find someone who is pristine and clean to run this country? Maybe it is.
I love the open honesty, bluntness. So we're going to move into McAfee on the iPhone backdoor. Now, this is moving into 2016, and at the time, I guess our government, I wasn't aware of this, but our government was working or trying to get Apple to create a backdoor to their system. And Apple blatantly refused. Now, Heather J. may know more about this technical news. Google fingers.
So this all came about during the San Bernardino shootings. They had the shooters' iPhones and they wanted to get in, and Apple was like, nope, we are not letting anyone have access to that. And Apple has stood by that.
Wow.
And they were actually taken to court, and the court was like, no, we have to uphold what Apple says, and we will not give access to law enforcement or to, the FBI.
Wow. So they really set a precedent. Apple
Yeah.
did. Good for them. It says, with the FBI demanding that Apple decrypt the iPhone of the San Bernardino terrorist, security expert John McAfee believed that creating a backdoor into iOS could have dire consequences. So here's his advice on that.
Well, here's the problem. The way that the FBI wants Apple to work is to provide a new version of their operating system, which will give a back door into Apple's encryption. Let me tell you what that actually means. A backdoor is not something that can ever be kept secret. So within a month, every bad hacker in the world will have that backdoor. The Chinese will have it. The Russians will have it. And everyone who uses an iPhone, you're going to lose your bank account. Your credit cards are going to be maxed out. Your social security number and your identity is going to be stolen. And we're going to have chaos. These are the facts of life, which is why I stepped in to try to call the government's hand. If, in fact, all they wanted was the information on that one phone, give it to me. I'll tell you what's on it. You can give it to any one of 1,000 hackers who can do this. But that's not what they want. They want to be able to monitor every single person in the world who uses an iPhone. If the FBI has the back door, I guarantee it, every hacker on the planet and all of our national enemies will also have it. This has been history throughout the digital age.
And here is another short clip on McAfee is telling us why the U.S. is losing the cyber war to China and Russia. And you guys, I think this is so interesting. This is June 2016. And he talks a lot about China and Russia in this clip. Let's listen. Interesting with what's going on now.
The Chinese, the Russians, and even the Iranians have the capability of literally returning us to the Stone Age. We are in the middle of a cyber war. It's not coming. It's not on the horizon. It's here. And there seems to be no one in our government which understands this. If they did understand it, the Chinese would not have been able to steal 21 million records of every person who has worked for the U.S. government for the past 50 years. The Chinese and the Russians, how do they get their talent? They go to the criminal organizations that do all of the chaos and havoc in the cyber world and hire them. They're much smarter than we are. Hacking, bad word. The U.S. government has made them the enemy. We need to hire these people. It's kind of like you go to the mob to hire your security, but the U.S. government's not going to do that. They're not going to hire from the mob. The Russians and the Chinese are more practical. They hire these people to create their weaponized software. We don't do that. We look within a government which has become bureaucratic and stagnated and think that a process which does not inspire innovation and creativity is going to make us the premier cybersecurity country in the world? No, it's not. We have been the world's power for so long that it is inconceivable to imagine America way behind the world in a science which is infinitely more powerful than all of our battleships and nuclear weapons put together. We are blinded by our past history of success.
What do you guys think of that? You think America got too big for its britches as far as technology and the cyber world?
I think they didn't expect anyone else to be as technologically advanced as we were.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that they kind of let their guard down.
John, he lived in Belize and he liked swinging in a hammock. And his girlfriends liked swinging in a hammock. And so they played a little game in the hammock. And the girls that lived with John, you're going to hear from them next. And they're going to tell you about the hammock at John's place in Belize. Into this, like we totally went from like presidency to the hammock. But I don't know how else to roll into this. So I'm just going to go with it. The title of this video is The John McAfee Shit Hammock is Real and We Have the Receipts. Enjoy.
This grabbed my attention. You sent this picture to us.
Yep.
And someone had forwarded this to you. This is John's bedroom.
Yep.
In North Carolina.
Blood on the screen.
No, this one's from Belize. From what I've been told, this is his bedroom in Belize, or at least one of them. It's the one with the hammock.
Yeah.
And
let's talk about this hammock for a second.
What he would do is he'd have what was the girl who was interviewed in Gringo, Amy.
Yeah.
I think it was Amy too. He'd have Amy too go up on the top of the hammock. And then John would go below, and there was a hole somewhere in that hammock where she would put her buttocks through. And I think the rest is pretty self-explanatory as to what he would do.
She'd send the big noodle south, would she?
Yes, she would send the big noodle south. And from what she said in the interview in Gringo, Mr. McAfee would eat it.
Call it the shit hammock, Rob? Rob, did he call it the shit hammock?
I actually asked him about the shit hammock, and he was not happy that I asked him about it. I watched Gringo, even though we were specifically told not to. And I asked him all the questions.
What did he say
That's the
when you
real
asked
reason
him?
that guy put the gun to your head.
Yeah. What did he say when you asked him?
Doctor, but he didn't seem he said, "Do you think any person would, in their right mind, would honestly eat another person's poo?"
Oh my God, that is awesome. That is awesome. So this guy interviewed him and he wasn't supposed to watch Gringo, which Gringo is the 2016 documentary on Showtime. And that's where they talked about the shit hammock. He wasn't supposed to watch the documentary and he did. And then he asked McAfee about the shit hammock and that was his response. I thought that was funny. So here is another video that John made. And this is an uninstall video. This is his uninstall video for the McAfee antivirus.
Fuck. Send. Oh, hello there. My name is John McAfee. I'm the founder of the McAfee antivirus software company. Although I've had nothing to do with this company for over 15 years, I still get volumes of mail asking, how do I uninstall this software? I have no idea. I really need to quit. As I said, I've had nothing to do with McAfee software for over 15 years. I've had more pressing things to do. But recent events have made me change my mind. I've had, over the years, many responses from users who are complaining about the difficulty in removing the software. I'd like to read you a few things. Holy fucking shit. I was drawing for like 5 hours straight on this marvelous drawing, and I had to do a big-ass scan that slows the shit out of my computer. It was McAfee, of course. My computer's always really fast, but that son of a bitch has to come fuck it up. Here's another. My free trial for McAfee, or however it's spelled, expired. When it expired, it blocked Pornhub. Fuck McAfee. Fuck them in their stupid faces. I hope they all get dick and cunt rot and die a slow, agonizing death for limiting my porn use to X-Hamster. No one should have to use X-Hamster. I tried one final time and got the Urban Dictionary definition for McAfee. McAfee, a barely passable virus scanning program that updates at the worst possible times. Tends to render your computer completely useless whenever it starts an update, which it doesn't ask to start, and you cannot cancel or pause. McAfee updates at horrible times, almost like the creators want you to die. So I finally remembered how to uninstall McAfee antivirus software, and I've asked my friend Bartholomew to walk you through the steps. This is my lab tech, Bartholomew. He's going to take you through step by step the process of uninstalling the McAfee antivirus software. Say hello, Bartholomew. Yes, so if you need me, I'll be over here, and good luck.
The procedure for removing McAfee antivirus software from your computer is as follows. First, make sure you have a full backup.
Yes, Bartholomew, back it up.
Oh my
back
God.
It up. That's right.
Yeah,
Very
John.
important.
I cannot.
Sir, should I be reading the instructions for the Mac or PC? They're really quite different. Depending on which edition and version of McAfee's anti-malware software is installed on your computer, you may have to click on Remove, Uninstall, or a similarly named option to begin the uninstall process. When finished, reboot the system. John, are you?
I think he just did coke out of a twirly straw. Or bath salts, my bad, bath salts. He's got 2 things of bath salts on the desk.
Yes?
Yes.
You may have to download McAfee Consumer Product Removal Tool. John?
Huh? Yes.
Does that sound about right?
Well, not completely, you know. I mean, it's always there. It's watching. It's been watching me for years. Every time I turn on the fucking computer, it's there looking at me. You know, something went wrong. 15 years ago, I had some beautiful software, and they took it over. I don't know what they did. It was like the time I hired that Bangkok prostitute to do my taxes while I fucked my accountant. It was terrible. The same fucking thing is going on now. But I know what to do. I know exactly what to do. Believe me, I've got a fucking solution right here.
Oh, he's crazy. Okay, so now we're rolling into 2017, where he's still on American soil, and he is warning America that every router in America has been compromised. And this is the warning that he gave back in 2017 to this stunned reporter here.
Story. We're joined by cybersecurity expert and CEO of MGT Capital, John McAfee. Welcome, John.
Thank you very much.
And so first, I want to go back to Alexei's report. I mean, we just heard about a massive information being put out there, roughly 25 terabytes worth of information being accessed without a password. I mean, just to be clear, this information was not stolen by hackers. It was actually there and without a password. And I mean, with so many of us having passwords on our phone, how is this even possible?
Well, hacking happens all the time. The thing that concerns me is not so much the fact that the information was available. All of this information you can buy from Google. What concerns me is how did they get this information? My phone number, my address, my age, my marital status, my preferences, whether or not I believe in Obamacare, what do I feel about immigration, what do I feel about our national policy. Every single political attitude is in that database for virtually every adult in America. Now, shouldn't we be asking the question, how did this data company even acquire that information? That's what concerns me, because once you get the information into a database, it will be hacked, it will be let loose. This is just a fact of life these days, and something we should be concerned about. But far more concerning to me is, how did it happen? It happened because companies like Google and Facebook acquired data on every one of us, what blogs we are visiting, even our messages that we pass on Facebook, our instant messages on Twitter are accessible. And these things are collected so that we have no privacy. What concerns me about this is if you look at the data in this 25 terabytes, it's almost every political attitude a person could have. And my phone number, and the jobs that I've had, and my health records.
Yeah.
Please.
A lot
this
of
is
people.
The concern. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, a lot of people don't want that information public, especially their political stances. I mean, it causes so much friction nowadays. I mean, maybe your close family members can know how you feel, but, you know, publicly out there, again, a lot of people just don't want people to know. But moving on now to WikiLeaks, you know, they just released those secret documents revealing that home routers from 10 different manufacturers can be turned into listening posts that the CIA can monitor. I mean, this sounds similar to, you know, those other devices, like some televisions that are being used as listening devices. So were you personally shocked at these findings?
Well, no, I mean,
Okay, I'm a little shocked because I've never heard this. That certain routers can be used as listening devices? Oh.
Myself and every other security professional have known about this and have been warning about this. It's not just the CIA. All of these routers, and that's virtually every router that's in use in the American home, are accessible to hackers, to the CIA, that they can take over the control of the router. They can monitor all of the traffic, and worse, they can download malware into any device that is connected to that router. So I personally never connect to any Wi-Fi system. I use the LTE on my phone. I know that sounds crazy, but that's the only way that I can be secure, because every router in America has been compromised. We have all known this, and we've been warning about it for years. Nobody pays attention until something like WikiLeaks comes up and says, look, this is what's happening. Then the world goes, oh, but we've been saying it for years. And it is devastating in terms of the impact on American privacy, our individual privacy, because once the router is compromised and it infects the cell phones that are attached, your laptop, your desktop computer, your tablet, then they become compromised. And not only can you watch the data, you can start listening to conversations. You can start watching through the cameras on these devices.
So you're saying even when we go to something like, say,
So I guess Apple turning down the whole backdoor thing, they found other ways to be able to monitor.
Starbucks and get on the free Wi-Fi, that our information can be compromised. Wow. incredible.
As a matter of fact, if you actually go to Starbucks and get on the free Wi-Fi, you're being very foolish, because not only is the router compromised at Starbucks, but there are people in Starbucks that have devices pretending to be Wi-Fi. And you're connecting to them sometimes. And they're monitoring all of your traffic, reading your emails, and your text messages,
Good to
listening
know.
to your conversations. So this is the problem. The fundamental issues, we are completely blind as to our circumstances in regards to security.
Well, I mean,
And that's why
I know
go
you
ahead.
kind of laid it out for us, but can you kind of recap what are your thoughts ethically with the CIA using technology this way? And do you think they have the right without the American people's consent?
Of course not. Of course not.
Right. And I think that's the point. It's not that if there's anything, suspect going on in your home or what you're doing, it's our lack of privacy, that we've always thought we had is now shattered completely.
Nothing in the American Constitution which gives the government the right to invade the privacy of my home or any place that I am where I have the presumption of privacy. Of course it's not ethical. Of course it's unconscionable. And we have very few means of combating this. My own company, MGT, has a product coming out soon called Sentinel, which will prevent this from happening in corporations, but nothing for the home yet. And we're working on that, but it'll be 6 months to a year before that comes out.
Now, do you see why they wanted him gone? I mean, look at the things that were going on in his mind in 2017.
I was just thinking that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he started out with antiviruses, but he figured out that there was a whole lot of other stuff going on.
Mm-hmm. And the shit started to get real. We've got the CIA now.
Yep.
And he's going to counter them. They're like, hell no.
And he's talking about it openly. I mean, they're going to want to get rid of him.
Yeah. I mean, he's blunt, open, honest, and I can see why he was paranoid. I would be too if I had knowledge like he did.
Mm-hmm.
That's scary shit.
Chat, just so you know, my father met McAfee back in the 90s.
Yes, tell us.
It was for a work thing. My dad works in tech, and I guess it was for that. And I asked him, I'm like, do you remember anything about him? And he goes, he was a nutcase.
He literally said that? Did he say why he thought that? Was it just his demeanor? Or
No.
what?
He said it was a brief interaction, but I guess from
Everything
what he did
knew.
notice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is so crazy, though, that he met him. What year would that have been around? Do you know?
I think in the 90s sometime. I'm not really sure.
Wow. So in his heyday, really?
Yeah.
He met him in his heyday. How cool is that? How cool is that? Yeah, I don't like how the baby monitors, I don't like all that stuff. I think we should be able to have like a thing that plays music without worrying about it being a listening device.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Even the stuff with the routers, though, like I wouldn't even think about them doing stuff with that.
No.
They can listen through them. Like, what?
Yeah, it's messed up. And he's
It's
exposing
insane.
this stuff.
Yeah, so we're all like, I'm going to put off my Alexa and stuff. I don't want it listening to me, but then your router's doing it anyway.
Yeah, I think we're pretty much
Like you can't get away from it.
We have
we're all
smart
screwed.
TVs. We have webcams, tablets,
Yep,
phones.
iPhones.
Oh, God. We're
everything.
screwed. We're screwed.
Yeah. There is no privacy.
There isn't.
Mm-mm. No. All right, let's finish this clip. And then the next one is going to be the Adult Swim interview. That's a good one.
So we're totally helpless. We are in a situation with our government where they know everything about us, and we know nothing about what the government is doing.
Wow.
They have the right to privacy and secrecy, but the individual does not anymore.
Well, good to know, and we'll certainly be careful on where we go online nowadays. Thank you so much, John McAfee, CEO of MGT.
Thank you.
So MGT was another company of his that he was going to start creating software. Not only, you heard him, like for corporations, but they were going to create software for home use to keep shit secure. Crazy. All right, so here is a really interesting interview. This girl, we're back in, this is 2019. Here is a tweet from John McAfee. I have not filed a tax return for 8 years. Why? 1, taxation is illegal. 2, I paid tens of millions already and received jack shit in services. 3, I'm done making money. I live off cash from McAfee Inc. My net income is negative, but I am a prime target for the IRS. Here I am.
Hmm. So he was pretty open about the fact that he was dodging his taxes. That was in October 2020.
Oh, this says 3/1/2019.
Oh, well, he was arrested in Spain in October 2020
Oh,
about this.
okay.
Yeah, so he tweeted about that earlier.
Yeah, he tweeted about
and
that
then,
in 2019.
Yeah. Yeah, so when they were like closing in on him, he tweeted this, and then he was eventually arrested in 2020 in
So
Spain.
then he took off, and then this interview we're going to watch took place then while he was fleeing from the U.S. Okay? There's a lot of fleeing here in his life.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is called Soft Focus with Jenna Friedman, and she traveled to Belize. So then she went there, and how scary to go there, and where he lived was dangerous.
Yeah.
He's one of the most notorious cybersecurity entrepreneurs in the world who made millions off of his antivirus software. In 2012, amid allegations of murder, he fled his then home of Belize to Guatemala, where he faked a heart attack to avoid deportation. He eventually made his way back into the U.S. and rose to prominence once again as a 2016 Libertarian presidential candidate. To this day, he remains a controversial figure, and he's here with me now. John McAfee?
McAfee, but that doesn't matter.
For people watching at home in their mother's basements, they don't necessarily see that you have, can I reveal that you have security guards?
Of course, absolutely.
So you have
Everybody knows that.
1, 2, 3 gentlemen.
Actually, 4 if Jimmy's here.
Do you fear death,
No, not at all.
despite the military presence around you?
That doesn't mean I fear it. That simply means I choose not to voluntarily wander into it.
Let's talk about McAfee 2.0.
What's that?
You now.
I would call it 400.0 or something. I mean, I have reinvented myself, but you call it 2, that's fine. That would be the newsman's perspective.
Newsperson.
Newsperson. What does that mean?
Women also work in the news, so newsman is kind of
I know,
reductive.
but listen, you need to cut me just a little slack because number one, I am 72.
You don't look it. You look like you're in your mid-40s.
Oh, thank you so much. Oh gosh, in that case, well, I'm going to call it news lady.
Well, that's also condescending.
But newsperson, you're right. You know why? It's an extra syllable.
Too much effort to make 52% of the population see themselves in an aspirational way.
Please, I apologize. You're putting me down tremendously well, and I admire your intelligence and drive.
You recently announced that you were running for president in 2020. Why?
I ran in 2016. I didn't succeed to the level that I desired.
For those who don't know, what is a libertarian other than a white guy too cheap to pay for birth control?
Damn.
A libertarian. You are a free individual. Free to do and think and believe as you choose.
In 2016, you lost to Gary Johnson.
Yes.
How did that feel to lose the unpopular vote?
It didn't feel like anything. I had a good 9 months of national attention because really, that's all that matters to me.
Did you think Trump was going to be president?
Yes, I hoped he was actually because the alternative was not very palatable to me.
Did you think
I will not tell you why because it will implicate me in horrific
Sounds like
situations.
you're asking me to inquire, but I'm not going to.
I am actually because I'm not sure I'm going to say it or not.
Well, it sounds like you're egging me on to ask you. I want to respect your privacy.
I am actually because I'm not sure I will say it. I've never said it ever.
Well, if you
not
want
in,
me
not
to...
in 6 years since I left Belize have I ever stated why.
Do you want to?
Absolutely.
Okay, well then you're welcome.
Okay, so when I went on the run in Belize, I had friends in the U.S. Embassy in Belize. I knew what was coming down. I'm not stupid. I had arranged with the head of security. I was going to come in. He said, "Sir, we have it from the highest authority. We are not to allow you entry into the U.S. Embassy." Understand me. Who was the highest authority of the State Department? Hillary Clinton. I'm an American citizen with a American passport. I'm sorry. I'm not wanted in America. I've got no crimes in America. Is it not a reason to say, I don't think I'm going to vote for you?
And yet you're here now.
For a month and a half, I was on the run. The reason that the government wanted to collect me was that after they had raided my property in 2012 in the jungle, shot my dog, abused me, destroyed $500,000 worth of my property over a bogus charge, I was pissed off. And so I donated to many secretaries within the government laptop computers, really nice ones that were preloaded with viral spyware. Within a week, the entire government computer system was under my control. I was watching, monitoring, listening. I was looking for information that they had set me up for that raid. I didn't find that. I did find out that the Minister of National Defense was the largest drug trafficker in all of Central America. And the Minister of Immigration, the largest human trafficker.
We don't want to get killed by them either, so we're probably not going to
That's fine, that's fine.
It was getting a little hot in John McAfee's compound, so we decided to step outside. Cheers.
To you.
To you. Let's get into Bitcoin.
Okay.
Explain Bitcoin to me in terms you would use if it were real.
It is real.
You tweeted that if the price of Bitcoin doesn't go to $1 million by 2020,
I will eat my member. Yes.
you will eat your own.
Eat my dick. Now, I may choose the mode if I choose to get a Bangkok prostitute and ask her, would you please eat my dick over the next 5 years? That's fine.
That's different than eating your own.
Is it now?
Because if a Bangkok prostitute ate your you wouldn't be eating your own.
Do I not have the privilege of subordinating my task to a subordinate?
To someone who doesn't know a lot about Bitcoin,
Yes.
it sounds like you, John McAfee, want to eat your own.
Eating my dick is not something that is difficult. For me eating it, I have no interest in doing that.
So it isn't that you, John McAfee, want to eat your own. It's that you believe in the power of Bitcoin, so much so that you'll put your on the table, chop it up, put it in your mouth, swallow. If Bitcoin does not.
If it doesn't reach
Hi, Olive.
at least $1 million by the end of 2020.
What if, God forbid, you get prostate cancer, have to remove your anyway?
Well, I won't be able to eat it, will I?
Well, you can have the surgeon put it aside and then you can eat it. But
I
either way,
don't think people would expect me to eat a 2-year-old dead dick. I'm sorry.
if John McAfee is to eat a dick, it's going to be the freshest dick.
And
There's
eat it
no
raw like I eat sushi.
farm to table, to mouth.
Farm to table, to mouth.
If you could murder someone else, who would it be and why?
It would be the entire leadership of the Sinaloa cartel.
Off the record, did you kill your neighbor in Belize?
I did not.
Why don't we take a bathroom break? Keep your mic on. Feel free to.
Keep your mic on so that we can hear you while you're in the bathroom talking to your wife about murdering everybody, including all the people here on the set, right? No. That was funny. I'm sorry. That was a joke.
It's so funny if you
And I
didn't
have
all
done
have
this
guns.
so many times. Do you think that I would forget that I am wired and mic'd and I'm going to say something while I'm in the bathroom? Please, God. I'm sorry, but go ahead.
Let's say I'm a female voter. I'm fed up with both the Democrats and the Republicans. I don't know you're wanted for murder in Belize. How do you win my vote?
Well, first of all, I'll tell you, I fled Belize because they were wanting to collect me for a person of interest. That's all.
A person of interest.
But I'm not a politician, and I don't have to be one. I'm just a human being running for president.
What are your thoughts on the Me Too movement?
The Me Too movement.
Do you believe that alleged victims of assault should be believed?
Let me tell you about assault. I have been assaulted more than any man on this planet that's still alive. Do I complain? No.
So that's a no? You share many qualities with President Trump. You're both iconic American brands. You both have been accused of sexual assault. And you both have been rumored to engage in sex play with bodily waste. Why should Americans vote for you?
Well, obviously, forcibly forcing myself on someone, that would be an issue. But that's absolutely untrue. As to the rest, what I do sexually, please God, is that not my business?
Your body, your choice.
It's my body, my choice.
Why do you keep touching your gun?
No, I'm sorry, I always do that. Does that concern you?
Yeah.
Why?
No, please.
No, I'm sorry, because my hand goes there.
Everything okay? You guys are cool?
If these guys are not cool, we're all in trouble.
Okay. Okay, hypothetically, please don't shoot. What would the hand signal be if you were in trouble?
It would be like...
No.
It's okay.
Okay.
All right, so... No, if we're in trouble, I'm part of them.
Okay.
I'm not letting these bastards take all the heat.
All right.
Why? I'm one additional
Do
gun.
you think, now please don't pull out your firearm again without telling me.
I'm sorry.
Do you think that you should have a firearm on you and while you're drinking?
Yes, I do.
Women get shit on a lot in our culture. You know what that's like.
I do.
I think you would make a better president than Donald Trump.
Okay.
So the next one you guys are really going to enjoy. This is from November of 2019. And the title of this one is John McAfee on Success, Opportunity, Epstein, and How He Fears AI More Than Elon.
Yikes.
Yikes, Ashley. Let's get to it.
Our WAC token is coming out at just the right time. So yeah, I'm going to be doing a lot of tweets about Epstein until tomorrow.
Well, one last question with, I want to get your thoughts on artificial intelligence. Do you fear AI as Elon Musk fears AI?
I think I fear AI far more than Elon could ever fear it because I am far older than him and I have much more experience with this technology. And I promise you, it is like inviting Satan into your house and begging to sign a contract for your soul. I'd much rather do that than to see AI pop up on the landscape, which it will, unfortunately, and we will have to deal with it one way or other.
Mm-hmm.
But let me. People say this, oh, I'm afraid, oh, I'm not afraid. Let me give you my rationale for why you damn well better be afraid. And that is, who creates the AI? Humans, the human mind from technologists. I will pose this question. Is it possible to create anything, which is not inherently within you? Can you? Does an artist create a piece of art which he has not imagined? No. Everything in life that we touch is a reflection of us. When it gets so deep that we're talking about intelligence itself and everything that goes along with it, you have to ask, who is mankind? And we are gracious and loving, kind and generous. We're compassionate. But simultaneously, we are angry and suspicious, greedy and hostile. We're jealous and envious. And if you think those characteristics, both positive and negative, are not going to show up in the AI that we create, then you don't understand what intelligence is. Because intelligence is the totality of our consciousness and the methods by which we process it. And how do we process it? Based on this dichotomy between I'm a good person
emotions
and I'm a horrible person, which everybody is. People, be honest with yourselves and look in the mirror. If you can tell me you've never lied, never been jealous, never been angry or hostile, never been greedy or petty, never been envious, then please come and see me, and I will bow down and give you my everlasting allegiance, because that person does not exist. All right?
Fascinating. All right, John. Thank you very much for joining us, man. I really appreciate your insight.
I hope this hasn't been too deep or heavy. It seems like we touched on serious subjects, so I thought I'd be serious.
Any last words? Do you want to talk about McAfee decks?
No, but I would like to talk about what people should be doing with their lives, and that is do only what you love. And if you find yourself doing something that you don't love, stop doing it. I mean, let me give you an example. Every time I have had a job, I wake up on Monday morning happy and anxious to get back to work. And on Friday, I'm so disappointed that they're not opening the office on the weekends so that I can come to work. Because every job that I have taken, I have loved. And if you're doing a job that you do not love, then are you masochistic? Or what is making you do it? It's fear. If I don't have a job, I'll starve. Nobody starves in this world. It has the will and ability to work and an intelligence above that of a 3-year-old. This is the truth. So do what you love, folks. And if you find yourself doing what you don't, stop doing it. And thank you very much.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Thank you very much.
It's crazy how he can be makes so much sense, but then on the other hand, seems so, outlandish. And I don't think he's a whack job. I don't. That's not a word I would use for this man.
I don't think he is either. I just think he's highly intelligent.
Yeah, and it
And I
might come
think
off as weird.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I don't think
and I
he's a
think he just
psychopath at all.
I think he plays on it as well because people think he's crazy. So he's like, fine, I'm going to act crazy then.
Yeah, I mean, he really didn't care what people thought of him. What you see is what you get, and he would fuck with people.
Yeah, he did.
I mean, I heard an interview where he said, how he's been saying throughout these things we've been watching, he lost all his money. He lost like $90 million, blah, blah, blah. Well, then he ended up admitting, I said that because I was getting sued so much.
Mm-hmm.
So I made it a rumor and it worked. Everybody thought I had no money, so they didn't sue me anymore.
Yeah.
I don't think that makes him crazy. I think that makes him smart.
It does.
And
He did that kind of thing with the crypto stuff as well.
Yeah. And sometimes
He said he beat
people
his
that
own
are
dick, but he didn't
smart,
mean it.
sometimes when people are smart like that, the normal person might see that as crazy because we don't understand it. Our mind can't go in his mathematical brain and how his mind computes things. And I can't understand it. And I'm not going to be, I don't know what the word would be, but like elementary and say, he's a psycho, because he's not. It's so much deeper than that. Like so much deeper than that.
Yeah. He knows how people are going to react to the things that he says as well. So he's kind of preempting everything that he does. I don't think he's crazy.
So that was from 2019. So this is in July of 2020. And John McAfee calls out the deep state.
The deep state is a conspiracy theory it's defined as the people within the U.S. government and military who are in secret control of government policy. Secret? Please, people. The deep state is those people within the U.S. government that are career employees that cannot be fired by people that we elect by the Congress or the president. There are the FCC, the CIA, the Securities and Exchange Commission, the IRS. Are these people in control? Can they enact laws? Fuck yes. They're called regulations.
No, it's not a soundproof room. It's a where you can't get signal. So he's got it lined with all of this like aluminum where signals can't leave the room. So that's where him and Janice, his wife, would go on their phones, do these interviews. and use all of their electronics, and they kept him in this room so their location could not be found.
For every law that Congress passes, and we elect Congress to pass our laws, there are 20 regulations enacted by federal agencies that have far more impact on our lives than anything Congress can possibly pass. Is there a deep state? Yes. Can we fire these people? No. Can presidents fire them? No. It's designed that way so that political parties and political interests cannot affect the deep state. Do you understand the nightmare of our situation, people?
Ashley, nobody said yikes, he hasn't
Sorry.
come home,
It's not
Ashley.
secret. It's as open as anything could be. In the past, since 1975, 200,000 regulations have been passed by our federal agencies, encompassing 800,000 pages of fine print. People, it is no secret. It is as open as it can be. The deep state does control America. Wake up, people, please. God, use some common fucking sense. Thank you.
There is tons of these kinds of videos, you guys, on his YouTube. Or a year after that, in a week, was when he was arrested in Spain. And he was, let's see. First, we're going to pull up the suicide note that was found in his cell. Oops. And you guys should be caught up. You can come off mute. I'm not going to play anything right away.
Yeah, so that suicide note was meant to be found in his pocket as well. Yeah, so she said that the handwriting suspect, and she doubts that it was from him. She said it reads more like someone trying to imitate one of his tweets. And also, she said if it was found in his pocket, then where are the markings that it had been folded and stuff? Because it doesn't look like it's been folded.
So it says, I am a phantom parasite. There's a lot of scribbled out. It's weird. Okay.
Yeah.
Let me see here. So he was
Yeah, it is
arrested in
really hard to
Spain
read.
in October of 2020 over U.S. tax charges. U.S. federal prosecutors brought criminal and civil charges against him, alleging that McAfee had failed to pay income taxes over a 4-year period. And then June 23rd of 2021, McAfee is found dead due to an apparent suicide by hanging in his prison cell near Barcelona. This was only shortly after his extradition to the U.S. was authorized by Spain. So Spain had announced they were sending him back to the U.S. And Potato, can you tell the story about the fake heart attack? Just because I want people to realize that he isn't a lunatic. He played a lot. He played people.
Yeah. So his fake heart attacks were I think they were 2012. And I think so. Yeah, after faking 2 heart attacks, Guatemalan authorities were fed up of him and basically sent him back to the US in December 2012.
This is him laying there faking the heart attack. So they had a 4-hour period or something like that where he could still get extradited back to Belize. Belize could have come and got him. His lawyer had to wait until 3 p.m. to sign for an appeal. So there was a 4-hour period where he was open to Belize coming and getting him. So he fell to the floor and they rushed him to the hospital. He faked the heart attack. And after 3 o'clock, he said, I feel better now and I'd like to go back to my cell. So,
okay. He posted before his supposed suicide, basically saying that if I'm found a la Epstein style, just know that I didn't kill myself. I would not do this.
Yeah. Plus, his dad killed himself, which traumatized him.
Yep.
And he said as well, like, don't look to the past to like try and explain the future and stuff. So he wouldn't, like, he got away from alcoholism and stuff. Yeah, and the suicide would affect him. And plus, why would he commit suicide over tax evasion when he was so open about it from 2019?
He wouldn't.
Like,
Yeah,
he knew
he
it was coming.
spoke about it all the time.
He didn't
Yeah,
commit
he
suicide
was
over murder charges or
Yeah.
suspected
exactly.
murder in, Belize of all places. He still like
Mhm.
ran and, fought.
Yeah, I can't see him giving up like that.
I'm a phantom parasite. The present moment I use to attain my own ends instead of fully living it. I want to control my future, which does not exist, by using the present and the past as the controller through the knowledge of my past, which are mere ashes of memory. But the here and the now are beyond the control of me, and all reality is truth, and truth is immutable.
So now we are to the announcement of him being found dead at age 75. And I like to play this just because I like the footage of him. So it says, John McAfee, the outlandish security software pioneer, was found dead in his jail cell near Barcelona, Spain on Wednesday. He was 75. A statement said prison personnel had tried to revive McAfee. Hours earlier, a Spanish court announced that it approved McAfee's extradition to the U.S. And then that's the detention center he was in. Crazy, huh? And this is recorded on June 15th, 2021, a week before he was found dead in his cell.
So they said as well that he'd apparently like threatened suicide before that too, and he'd been on suicide watch. I don't know when they ended that, but
Kind of like how he had a heart attack.
yeah, been on suicide watch, and then his roommate wasn't there, and this happened.
Interesting.
If I am extradited,
It'd be cool to
it
hear from
is
his roommate.
certain
Yeah,
I wonder if he's
that I
spoken
will
out.
spend
I'm sorry, I started playing it. What'd you say?
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, it's okay.
It'd be nice to hear from his his roommate, or see if his roommate has spoken out about anything.
See if he
won't
talks
let
about the
him.
reason why he left his cell. Like, was he removed?
Did they
when
make
this
him
happened?
leave? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, you obviously would not be wouldn't be his idea because he's in jail.
Mm-mm.
So they took him
Yeah.
out for some reason.
Yep.
it is certain that I will spend the rest of my life in prison. Please
Realmente me extraditan, con seguridad pasaré el resto de mi vida en prisión.
because the United States.
And then now we go to, speaking of children, his daughter lives in Colorado and she is fighting his current wife over the remains, or was. So I don't know if that's still a current fight. This is August 19th of 2021. And I think it's interesting to note that his body has never been released.
Who takes 2 years to release a body?
Yeah. And why
What
did
is
they
going
still-
on?
Never been released.
Because Janice wants it because she wants to do like an independent autopsy and stuff, and they're just not letting it go.
Weird.
Interesting.
So this is the Colorado News talking about his daughter that lives there in Denver.
For you. You might have it on your computer, McAfee antivirus software. It was invented by a former Coloradan, John McAfee.
He was arrested and died recently in a Spanish prison. Now his daughter and his ex-wife have each been trying to get possession of his remains. CBS 4 investigator Rick Salinger joins us now with the Colorado connection and to this very prominent and controversial man's life, Rick.
He was. Jim and Karen John McAfee lived part of his life in Woodland Park. He died by apparent suicide behind bars in Spain. Now his daughter here in the Denver area wants his ashes returned to her. Shortly before his death, John McAfee addressed a Spanish court.
If I am extradited, It is certain that I will spend the rest of my life in prison.
Living at times on a yacht, McAfee was on the run from U.S. authorities for tax evasion and securities fraud charges. Arrested in Spain, authorities are calling his death a suicide in jail. But his third ex-wife, Janice, believes he may have been murdered.
I blame the U.S. authorities for this tragedy. Because of these politically motivated charges against him, my husband is now dead.
She and McAfee's daughter, who lives in the Denver area, have been fighting for his remains and personal effects. The daughter showed us her birth certificate and photos of her and her father when she was young. She asked us not to use current pictures or her name for security reasons. Her attorney is Joy Athanasiou.
And she's very unhappy and very upset by the delay in being able to receive those remains and being able to bury him.
John McAfee battled alcohol and drug addiction off and on during his high-profile life. He sought the U.S. presidency in 2016.
I smoked marijuana, and I did inhale, and I took other drugs.
McAfee sold his company for $100 million in 1994. It's not clear if he had any money left. McAfee's daughter is considering dropping the fight so that he can be buried. She says this is not about money. We reached out to ex-wife Janice Dyson McAfee, but we have not heard back from her, Jim and Karen.
I love how they call his wife ex-wife. Like they were married when he died. Why would you call her his ex-wife? Of course. This is a short one, but this is from Keith Wood's YouTube. And he says, my interview with entrepreneur and activist John McAfee. And this is John McAfee on crypto, Epstein, and collapse. Yikes, Ashley.
Fairly famous and influential.
But she just said the ashes, so he's been cremated. Who knows whose ashes they're going to get? Yeah, he's cremated.
When you get rich and famous, you just get these weird Epsteins and Weinsteins coming to you offering you all sorts of weird sexual stuff with young women. Like, how does that work? Like, are they just like, is this like a common thing amongst the elite or something?
My wife is here. I'm looking at her right now. Some years, like 2 years ago, I did a lot of conferences. Women would come up to me, drop dead, gorgeous supermodel types, look me in their eyes and hand me their hotel room keys in front of my fucking wife. No. Listen, perhaps I'm a charismatic motherfucker, but I'm still 74 fucking years old. I don't care how you want to slice that goddamn eye. And when a 22-year-old woman comes up to me professing undying love, then I know somebody sent them. And they are always in the pattern of women that I would look at. So, but Janice will verify, do I ever, under any fucking circumstances, if a woman comes up to me, pay attention? Fuck no. Think I'm stupid, bitch? No. You want a photograph? And I can't count the photographs I've had, thousands with women at conferences. I make sure my fingers do not touch anything, not even the goddamn shoulder. My fingers are out like this. Not going to be a photograph. Not be a photograph of me ever touching a strange woman, ever being unfamiliar or too familiar. Doesn't fucking happen. I'm not a stupid motherfucker. Because how, my friend, do they get you? They get you through sex. Something, someone, some situation, some prospect, some offer that you simply just cannot resist. And when those things happen, and you're over the age of 60, you'd better goddamn well resist them if you want to continue breathing. So yes, my friend, it happens all the time.
Oh, what do you think? The CIA and like DARPA and all that stuff, they seem to have weird connections with a lot of the tech companies that start up. Like I've heard all sorts of rumors about various tech companies being CIA fronts. Do you think that Is that exaggerated? Is that conspiracy theory stuff, or is CIA behind a lot of the new tech that's coming out?
No, it's not. So you get in the cart before the cart, before the horse here. No, the CIA's please God, I wish they were that smart. If they were, our country would be in far better shape than it's in. They don't have the depth of thinking that, say, the Mossad has. So, no, the CIA doesn't do shit like that. What happens is, since the CIA is damn sure interested in what new technologies are popping out of the ground or out of the woodwork, why? Maybe they can use it for their own goddamn purposes, and most new technologies they can. So it's not the CIA is behind some massive conspiracy to take over tech. No, the CIA going, that is a good product, buy it. I don't care what it costs. And then suddenly it's the CIA. So fuck no, they're not out there planning. They're just opportunists. They're too fucking lazy to build anything themselves.
So kind of a related question. I don't know if you're following, like, when Andrew Yang ran for president, but he got a lot of people talking about this issue of automation and AI taking away people's jobs. And his solution was, universal basic income. Like, how much of a problem do you think that's going to be the next decade, 2 decades, when AI starts taking the truck driver jobs and the service sector jobs, all the decent paying sort of middle class jobs?
Well, I think Andrew Yang needs some classes, some education, the fundamentals of economics, because at no point in human history has automation caused anyone to go hungry. It just doesn't happen. Because even though it may be taking your fucking job, it's going to do it much faster and much more capable, and therefore produce more, and you don't need to do that job. Whatever it costs for electricity, so everybody fucking wins if you just want to get another goddamn job. Or create one yourself, sell lemonade on the fucking street corner. The world's a better place, no matter how you slice that fucking pie. It's kind of like saying, what would happen? Squirrels, for example, in order to live, they've got to spend September, October, November scurrying around, collecting nuts and grains and acorns, hopefully to survive throughout the winter. And then someone comes along and says, listen, tell you what, I've got this machine that can do it 1,000 times better. And if you let my machine run in your territory and collect your nuts, you'll have 5 times as much nuts, and I only want 1/2 of them. Now, who is not going to take that? Because that's what automation is. If you increase production, someone's got to fucking consume it. Well, you're not going to die. You're going to be one of the fucking consumers. So you show me a single automaton, a single thing which lost 1 million jobs, which caused a single fucking child to go hungry. Well, I'll eat my fucking shoe because you can't. So Andrew Yang just is stupid. That's all.
I mean, aren't you worried that, like, do you not think that eventually industrial society is just going to sort of come down under the force of its own weight? I mean, like we've got all this prosperity and productivity, Daniel, that's reliant on burning millions and billions of barrels of oil and fossil fuels, and eventually we're going to reach peak. Eventually we're going to lose all this prosperity. Aren't you worried that we're kind of setting ourselves up for collapse with all this stuff?
We're definitely going to collapse. but not because of automation, not because of anything other than we're just too overpopulated. I mean, for God's sake, look at Malthus. Look at every species in the planet. Look at goddamn lemmings, for fuck's sake. They get so overpopulated, they commit suicide, and by the millions. There's some gene that's clicked on and said, fuck me, there's too many of us again. All right, everybody, we're killing ourselves. That's what they do. People do the same thing. We are about 20 times more populous than we should be. And life not automation, not ourselves, just life. We'll cut that back. How? I don't know. Maybe a pathogen, a bacteria, maybe a goddamn earthquake, maybe some monster
Coronavirus.
thing.
Did you hear that? Let me rewind that. Yeah.
Sake, look at Malthus. Look at every species in the planet. Look at goddamn lemmings, for fuck's sake. They get so overpopulated, they commit suicide, and by the millions.
Lemmings.
There's some gene that's clicked on, said, fuck me, there's too many of us again. All right, everybody, we're killing ourselves. That's what they do. People do the same thing. We are about 20 times more populous than we should be. And life, not automation, not ourselves, just life. We'll cut that back. How? I don't know. Maybe a pathogen, a bacteria, maybe a goddamn earthquake, maybe
COVID.
Some monster
Coronavirus.
thing from outer space that hits the ocean. But trust me, it just happens. We don't have to do jack shit about it, nor can we. We're overpopulated. If we can't see that, we all deserve to perish.
And, I mean, isn't there a point where it's like we're getting so, everyone's so like feminized and useless now? Isn't there a point where we should like say we're gonna stop advancing towards inevitable collapse with all this stuff, and we're gonna start like degrowth, or we're gonna slow down the economy. We're gonna stop heading into this weird like techno future where everyone's like watching anime cartoon porn all day and all this stuff. I mean, like, can't we like make an effort like through the force of will to try and reverse it?
God damn, I truly wish that human beings had that capacity, or that any species had the self-capacity to change the trajectory of its existence. But no, least of all humans. We're the most stupid of all the species, and most arrogant. We think that we can actually do things like pollute the atmosphere and depollute it. No, we got nothing to do with it, you mofos. Wake the fuck up. That's arrogance speaking. This world, this globe, this tiny rock spinning around an insignificant star on the outer edges of a less significant galaxy. Out of some...
I'm sorry, that calls for the Scott H soundbite.
Guess what? There's 7 billion fucking humans on this fucking rock hurtling through space that make mistakes.
Trillions that could not be counted in a million years by 100 people. Do you think that we fucking matter? that our desires, our wants, our hopes and dreams, our aspirations are good fucking intentions. Oh, wake the fuck up, children. You're all children. You think you have some control over the destiny of this fucking world, and you do not even have an ounce of control over your own individual fucking destiny. And you think that you're going to save the world. No, it will not happen. I hate to disillusion you, children. That is not in the fucking cards.
What do you think it's going to be that brings down this system then? What's going to bring about the collapse? Like, is it just going to be overpopulation, or?
Well, no, it's overpopulation always. I mean, look at all species. Listen, nobody can tell why a species collapses and sometimes just fucking disappears. It's just the general thrust of life and the fact that we're one of literally millions of species on this fucking planet. Some of them so numerous in weight, like ants. Do you know how many thousands of times ants outweigh humans? But the massive ants and massive humans are so goddamn insignificant. Why are we even here? Why does the world even fucking bother with us? No, we have no significance. We're just one of millions of species. What are the important species? Only evolution will tell you that. I mean, why don't we look at dinosaurs? I mean, I think, to me, I think evolution is one of the. It's got to have a fucking sense of humor. It really does. Let's look at dinosaurs. All right, so let's look at the true evolution of the Jurassic era. Starting off with tiny little creatures with very sharp teeth, lizard-like things that went around chewing and eating each other. Okay, well, at some point, somewhere in the evolutionary process, the mouth became the important thing. Just a mouth with lots of teeth. The ultimate, I mean, the human mind, with all of our engineering capability today, could never get greater than the Tyrannosaurus Rex, whose mouth was so fucking big that its front legs shrank to nothing. Because the mouth it was just stood up on two legs. It was a mouth on two fucking legs and one a mouth. And then, in absolutely a snap of an instant, it was almost like some people sat down and said, you know what? Okay, George, that fucking mouth idea of yours. I mean, look at what you've done. I mean, how ridiculous is this shit? You've got a Tyrannosaurus Rex, which is a mouth on two legs. Okay, so that's cool. Let's end this shit. And then people go, yeah, you're right. And so what happened? Gone in the blink of an eye. We still don't know why. Not just the Tyrannosaurus Rex, not just all of the vegetarian things, the Triceratops, the tiny little creatures, the raptors. No, fucking everybody overnight disappeared. Kind of like, listen, what, you want everybody gone? Yes, fucking scratch everybody. And they're all gone. What emerged? Tiny creatures, less than the size of a mouse. They were no longer dinosaurs. An entirely new evolutionary concept, something that gave birth live and actually attempted to, in some way, shape, or form, to take care of the young. From that, we evolved. Now, we consider ourselves the top species. Why? Not because of our brains. Our brains are inferior to elephants and dolphins, many of the whales. Weight to brain. No, we're way down there. Our magic is in this: opposable finger and thumbs, from which came tools, and from those tools we created more sophisticated tools. Now, because of that, we consider ourselves the gods of this creation and therefore the masters of its future. Now, you will find out, people, exactly what petty, powerless creatures we really are. End of story.
So, like, you're fairly resigned to how this is all going. You've kind of accepted the tragedy of it all, the inevitable collapse.
What did I? Am I now calling it a tragedy? Fuck me. Do not put a judgment call on my perceptions. I don't think it's a tragedy. I think it's a great thing. Thank God. Because look at what we've done. We've created nuclear fucking bombs, people. I mean, seriously, can you get real with this? Where we have taken parts of this planet which are now fucking uninhabitable because we have poisoned those places with radioactivity. We have created the most horrific of social structures where we put people in a dark, cold room by themselves for years and sometimes for life, for things like smoking weed. Now, if we're not an unnatural species that should be considered seriously for evaporation, then you point one that is. So I'm not saying it's bad. Some of us will survive. I will. I'm ready for the shit. Janice will. You will, because you're kind of skinny. You don't need much food. There's the fat people.
No one's going to try and eat me anyway when it turns to cannibalism.
No one's going to try.
But I think a lot of these people that he interviewed with were overseas because of the Bitcoin.
Yeah.
But he did do psychotropics. So there's no telling what he was on at that time.
He looked wasted.
I think he was drunk. And I want to play one more clip, and then we can talk it out. This is Janice, and this is her announcement on June 25th of 2021.
I blame the U.S. authorities for this tragedy. Because of these politically motivated charges against him, my husband is now dead. His last words to me were, "I love you, and I will call you in the evening." He did not deserve to die in a filthy prison like a caged animal. We had a plan. He had hope that things would work out, you know. We knew that there would be an uphill battle to continue to fight this situation. But he's a fighter. He's always a fighter, and anybody that knows John, that knows him even a little bit, knows that about him. He would never quit this way. He would never take his life in this way. From what they said, he was an exemplary prisoner, of course. You know, he wasn't a troublemaker. He had a lot of friends here. They called him Papa America. And he always said they looked after him. You know, the prisoners sort of felt very protective of him, you know, in a grandfatherly way. I don't believe he did this. And I will get answers. I want answers of how this was able to happen. Everything. He was just so loving. He had a big heart. And he just loved people. And he just wanted to have peace in his life. And my prayer is that his soul has found the peace in death that he could not find in life.
A partir de ahora tenemos que esperar a que se realice la autopsia del señor McAfee. Nosotros tenemos instrucciones de la familia de solicitar una segunda autopsia por un equipo independiente y cuando acabe la investigación, pues obviamente decidiremos qué acciones legales emprendemos y si las mismas refieren a algún tipo de responsabilidad por parte de todas las personas que han intervenido en este procedimiento.
All right. So what do you guys think? Do you think that was an act by Janice that he's really not dead or what?
I don't know. I don't think it was an act.
You don't think she's playing off like she believes he's dead? I mean, if he was going to fake his death, right, then she would go along with it as well. But so you think he's actually dead and she just never got answers? I mean, we don't know. His body's never been released. We have no idea.
Yeah, and that's where, like, because his body hasn't been released and he was so adamant against suicide, like, obviously that's going to leave some questions out there.
And the reason that they wouldn't release his body is because there was a legal battle between Janice and his daughter about their rights to his body. But Janice dropped her legal battle because she didn't want to delay the funeral any further. But his body is still being held.
Oh, I thought it was his daughter that was going to drop it.
Yeah, his daughter did. Yeah. Did I say Janice? I meant his daughter dropped the legal battle. Yeah, his daughter dropped it.
Did anyone see his dead body?
I don't know.
Janice did. But she only saw from his neck up. Like the rest of him was covered in a white sheet.
That's right.
So what happened? She was brought in and she was behind glass.
Yeah, behind glass. And she could only see his face.
So they only
she wanted to see the rest of him, but they wouldn't let her see him.
She couldn't see his body.
Nope. And he's still being held in the morgue as well, as of June 2022.
Oh, I thought he was cremated. He's not cremated?
No.
Okay.
I don't know. I mean, I don't know if he has been
said
since
that
June.
His daughter wanted his ashes, so that's why.
Yeah, because she wanted him to be cremated. She wanted his body and wanted to cremate him. But then she didn't want to delay it any further, so she dropped it.
Interesting.
But I mean, why wouldn't they release it now? If there's no legal battle, why are they still holding his body?
I don't think he's dead.
Exactly.
I don't think he's dead.
Like if they don't have a body, they can't release it. I'm just saying.
Oh, I forgot to play this one clip. This is kind of funny. If you guys are up for one more, this is John taking on the FBI on CNN.
Oof.
Right?
Ooh-wee.
Ooh, wait, hold on. Let me get out the ooey because that's an ooey moment.
The ooey moment. Ooey. That will scare somebody.
So this is John McAfee and the FBI finally square off on CNN, no doubt. And it says McAfee2016.com at the bottom. Isn't that crazy?
Issues haven't really changed since the whole furore began. It really does come down to one of, do we give, or does the courts give the FBI the right to get into this phone, or indeed any phone? Because I think, Steve Rogers, you have to accept, if you do it once, the authorities will be back to do it again.
Richard, there has been a change, and the change is we're at war. I could buy the privacy issue if this was minor criminal activity, but we're at war and our national security is at stake here. So this is what's changed, and this is why we need the cooperation of Apple to proceed with this.
John, he's got a valid point, hasn't he?
No, he does not. This is not a matter of privacy versus security, sir. I'm certain, Mr. Rogers, I've heard a great deal about you, and good luck to you, that you are unexcelled in the area of information gathering and intelligence. I, on the other hand, have spent my entire life in computer security. This is not an issue of privacy versus security. It is an issue of how you want to access the phone. The FBI is asking for a master key. I have been in this business my entire life. There has never been a single instance of a master key or a backdoor being placed in software that was not accessed within a matter of weeks by foreign agents or black hat hackers.
All right.
There is simply no way, sir, no way to keep this within the FBI or within Apple. There are going to be dozens of programmers working on this thing.
You know, years ago, I was on a Navy base walking with two Japanese naval officers, and we were talking about technology. And one of them turned to me and said, you know, while American kids are playing Nintendo, we're building them. The point is that at one point in time, the Chinese, the Russians, they're all going to get this technology. I think if we could get it first and safeguard it, yes. But we're talking about the lives of American people, not about a burglar, not about someone who's involved in minor criminal activity, but the lives of the American people. And I get the Privacy Act. Believe me, I do. But I also believe in common sense. And common sense dictates, look, if we got a way to get these terrorists, let's do it.
John?
Well, Mr. Rogers, I didn't mention privacy as the issue here. I mentioned security and safety for America. The FBI was hacked a month ago by a 15-year-old boy who walked off with thousands of personnel records, including undercover agents. And you're telling me you're going to keep this safe? You can't, sir. It is not possible. We cannot keep things like this safe. We stopped doing this in the 90s because we couldn't keep them safe.
Okay, John, but Apple has managed to keep its proprietary software safe. Apple has managed to keep its iOS safe. So let's just say you have a system whereby half the key is held by the FBI, half the key is held by Apple. What's wrong with that?
Well, here's the problem. You're saying that they've kept their operating system safe. From what? No one's trying to steal their operating system. You'd have to build the hardware for it to run on. It's not. There's no one looking for that. However, everybody's looking for a key that will unlock every iPhone.
Eventually someone's going to get that key. But I want to go back to this phrase you're using, keeping Apple safe, the system safe. I want to talk about keeping the American people safe. And if, by golly, Apple could help out, then let's do it, okay? I understand your position. I understand the privacy position. But I also understand we need to help our national security agencies.
What do you do?
But you're not helping the American people, Mr. Rogers. If, in fact, I'm telling you within a matter of weeks. Well, who cares? That's what it's all about, is helping the American people and protecting us.
I believe the majority of the American people want to be safe.
Let me ask you, Mr. Rogers, what do you do?
Of course we do, but we want to be safe also from hackers getting into our telephones, stealing our money, our credit cards, and our IDs, watching our daughters while they're in the bathroom. Good Lord, sir. Well, this is the problem,
and Richard,
too.
they have done that.
So what are you are weighing... I'm sorry?
Gentlemen, I'm going to, Bell, as I ask the next question.
Yes, sir.
What about this argument that says, and this is the argument that if, Steve Rogers, if the US gets its way, the FBI gets its way, then soon China simply comes up with a legitimate court order and says, our court has said we want it too. Oh, and by the way, here's a court order from North Korea, such as it might be. Oh, and another court order, Germany would like it, and the UK, and before long, every country is coming up with valid court orders for Apple to do the same thing.
I believe that therein lies your national security issue. I don't believe there's a court in this country that would allow a foreign country to get that. However, saying that, Richard, I believe they'll get this information and this technology before they need a court order.
John, the final word to you, sir. Do you accept that if this goes all the way to the Supreme Court and the Supreme Court votes that Apple loses, the FBI wins, Apple has to provide the necessary software, has to do, under the rule of law, that which it's ordered to do?
Well, then that would be a tragic day for America, sir. Mr. Rogers continually says, well, we will at least have the software first before the foreign agencies get it. Well, if you don't have the key, nobody gets it, and we're safe from the foreign agencies. There are hundreds of millions of people using the iPhone. We are all at risk if the FBI gets its way. And there are many ways that they can get access to this. I've offered for free to give them access to the phone. There are tons of ways to do it, sir, and if the FBI does not have the capability, then my heart is saddened.
How about we work together? How about there is a happy medium somehow, some way? Maybe the FBI and you all could work together.
Gentlemen, I thank you both for joining me, and I think that we can all agree a reasoned, respectful, and decent debate that we have enjoyed.
This is actually just audio. I mean, I'm going to put it on video, but this is the guy who actually wrote a book with John about him. His name's Stephen Morgan, and he's the editor of Cybercrime magazine. So he did this interview on the phone after John died. And he was asked, hold on, some questions. Okay, here we go.
So far as my last conversation with John, he was upset that I dropped out of the book project, but we, still kept in touch with each other. I guess we left off on good terms, and, he was happy with the idea that I might, share, some of his life story. But it was very difficult because John had his own view on his life, and I didn't necessarily agree with it. I think he suffered from mental health issues. I think that he never got over his experience with his father, who beat him mercilessly when he was a child, and ultimately committed suicide when John was 15. He used John's shotgun, walked into the family's bathroom, and killed himself. John's uncle went to school that day, notified him, brought him home. So he really went through a lot, and I'm sympathetic that, very much for what he went through, but I think it also took him to a really dark, bad place where he made some very bad decisions in his life.
And Stephen, thanks for being with us. We're showing some of the exteriors of this Spanish penitentiary right outside Barcelona right now. It's nighttime there. One of my questions, though, I don't want to dwell on all of the negative aspects of his life, because he was a pioneer. He was a visionary. He was also a leading purveyor in the early movement of cryptocurrency. Isn't that right?
Yes, he was. He was, but he also, couldn't help himself. And so, on the one hand, he was brilliant. He understood cryptocurrency and crypto mining and as well as anybody. But then he, fell into, the trap of, the financial rewards and, got involved with scamming the system and pumping up, some crypto assets, based on comments that he'd make, and then, traded in those assets and benefited from it financially. So, he, ultimately was always just this combination of a brilliant technologist and entrepreneur, but then a scammer.
Yeah, and let's just leave it at the last thought here. Last question for you, Stephen. What do you think, how will we remember John McAfee? How will the internet, the larger software, hardware community be remembering him today?
I hope they remember him as a technologist, as a visionary, as one of the founding fathers of the cybersecurity industry. So many people make mistakes. He did. I think there's a lot of reasons behind it, but there's very few people who have, his place in the tech industry. So I hope people, will look at that and, let a lot of the negatives go.
All right, Stephen Morgan, founder, editor of Cybercrime Magazine, joining us.
Craziness. What are tussin pearls? Ricola. Are you guys still there? Are you still catching up?
Yeah, I was listening to the end of that.
I don't like the look of that place.
It's sketchy.
What does that say, potatoes? I mean, I know what it says, but can you pronounce it in their language?
Oh my gosh.
Please.
Center Penitentiary Brions 2.
Okay, do you want to know how Jay would have pronounced it?
Go for it.
Centra Penitentiary Brian's 2. Yours was much more eloquent. Oh my gosh, you're so funny. You guys, this was like 3.5 hours of craziness, and I feel like we hardly talked, but like he tells
There's
his own
just so much of
story,
him.
Like,
he really does.
Yeah.
I hope your dad enjoys like the footage that we put together, though, Heather. Like, he probably didn't see maybe a lot of this.
I don't know. I'm going to bug him after. He said he was going to watch the replays 3 hours behind.
Why don't you get like just the way the shit's dripping down the front?
I know.
Yeah.
I can't. Yeah, he is. Flo Nightingale said so much content here. He's a great talker.
Yeah, he really is.
This is on logiaonfire.com. I'm going to put it up on the screen so you will definitely see. And this man did Logia on Fire magazine. Here we go. Okay. He did Dear John, where people would write letters to John, and then he would publish them on his vlog. And it's called Brutally Honest Advice from John McAfee. So let's move on. Let's read the first one, shall we? Dear John, of course, should you or a member of your team read this email personally, I must say first and foremost that I greatly appreciate your time, and if you have the additional time to respond, it would make a great difference in my life. The paragraph below is purely context in explaining my situation, so feel free to skip to the paragraph below. Okay, so I am a high school student starting senior year next month and attending a private day school. I have been in platonic, vaguely sexual relationship with a boy, also in high school, for several months now. I would like to buy him femboy gear. I have not read these. Did you read ahead, potatoes? Because I didn't.
No.
Okay. Femboy gear. Cute dresses, chokers, handcuffs, etc. Heather, in April, you might want to switch to something a little stronger.
Oh boy.
And have sent them to his house. But until school starts, and until I can get some shitty minimum wage job at Dunkin' Donuts or other near my school's campus, I am broke as ever. I took a $100 Amazon gift card and bought a few things for my femboy in Cali last night. But I'd much prefer to have real money, especially with the perk of having surplus profits for myself. I'd like to start selling street drugs. Ideally weed, nicotine, and less hard pills like Ritalin. But I don't have any limits. And with my living situation, this would be a relatively safe way to make a profit while staying under the radar from parents and law enforcement. I'm contacting you in search of advice on becoming a full-time dealer aside from attending day school. And if not that, then of your top tips on making a quick and reliable profit with Bitcoin. I personally have no understanding or knowledge regarding cryptocurrency, and I'm sure I could learn all I need to know on YouTube and such. So I won't waste any of your time asking for a beginner's guide. However, if you do have any tips or tricks for making a profit comparable to or exceeding the profit of selling drugs with Bitcoin, whatever you have on hand would be more than appreciated. If I have been unclear about my requests or you have any questions, please feel free to inquire. Mortimer W. Okay, here's the answer. I cannot possibly advise drug dealing as a profession for you. As a femboy, you will be viewed as easy prey by your thug competitors. Dealing drugs in the street is a rough business, and your chances of survival beyond a few months would be slim. As for Bitcoin, the only chance for success these days is in building technical support products, a task for which I suspect you are unprepared. To be entirely frank with you, my advice, given your constraints of time frames and profitability, is to snatch purses from old ladies. They frequently walk alone and have no strength to resist. Therefore, your risk of harm is low. Their voices are weak. Thus, their calls for help cannot be heard for long distances. So your chances of getting away without getting caught are high. In any case, you are young and can get away quickly. Old ladies seldom use credit cards and therefore always use cash. Carry cash. In addition, they unaccountably keep jewelry and other valuables in their purses. They carry their small and most valuable possessions with them for safekeeping. Given what you've told me, I believe this is your quickest path to financial security. As a warning, never attempt to forcibly remove jewelry being worn by old ladies. More likely than not, they are keepsake items from deceased husbands, estranged children, or departed friends. The women will frequently fight tooth and nail to protect you from taking them. Good luck to you, and if I can be of help to you in the future, please don't hesitate to contact me. John McAfee. And this was actually an email, advice at Logia on Fire. And there's more.
I don't even know what to say. Like,
how about this?
Yeah, read another one.
Dear John, this is a simple one. I am such a nerd. I do not know how to buy marijuana and get the advice. And the advice I get of ask around seems like just asking to ask an undercover cop. So how does someone unfamiliar with the illegal trade of controlled substance actually buy weed? Answer. I'm sorry to say this, but I believe your problem is a bit deeper than an inability to lay your hands on some weed. First, who are these people you're asking that are telling you to ask around? Coworkers, neighbors, bank tellers, clerks at the grocery store where you shop? Think about this. If you ask someone you trust, which I assume, given your concerns, is what you are doing, why would they tell you to ask around? If they smoke themselves, which nearly everyone does, wouldn't they simply offer you some of their stash? Or at the very least, put you in contact with their dealer? Am I at all wrong here? It seems to me that maybe these people are not exactly the friends you think they are. In any case, doesn't matter. Not yet. Now, to solve the trivial aspect of your apparent problems, scoring weed. Your concern about undercover cops is unfounded. No country on the planet, except North Korea, Thailand, and a few other exotic places, is going to spend money trapping people to buy a bag of weed. Now, if you're trying to score a few tons, or if you're actually trying to score a few keys, cocaine, or 10,000 hits of E, well, I would be giving you a different set of instructions. But I'm taking you at your word. No one is going to arrest you for trying to buy a bag of weed, so drop that concern. I truly believe you could stand on a street corner with a cardboard sign proclaiming, I want to buy weed, and no one would molest you other than the line if dealers trying to overcharge you for their wares. But let's get back to your friends who told you to ask around. I'm not liking them one bit. Before you carry the sign in the street, let's try this. Walk up to each in turn and say, listen, you fucking cunt. I talked to John McAfee. And he said, I did not read these ahead of time. Oh, okay. Listen, I talked to John McAfee, and he said you were fucking with me. That pissed me off. I may look like a fucking nerd, but when I get mad, once every 2 or 3 years, I go fucking crazy. And John told me this. I got so angry, I bit the head off of my landlord's cat. It didn't fucking satisfy me, not one bit. Ask me if I'm mad now. Please, just fucking ask me. Please ask me, goddammit, ask me. Ask me, you fucking prick. They will likely not ask you. You may continue. So now, sell me whatever stash you have handy. at a reasonable fucking price, or I swear to God, I will rip off your head here and now and shit down your fucking neck. Ad lib here and there is necessary, but try to maintain the momentum of the tone. I suspect you will have enough weed in your pocket after you have appropriately addressed everyone in the office to get a good buzz on. If in the unlikely event that the above is unsuccessful, grab a magic marker and a piece of cardboard and head to the street. John McAfee.
Wow.
I can't. I don't even know how I read that with a straight face.
Wow. I don't think this man should be giving advice like this.
It's hysterical.
No, that was a lot.
Hysterical. Oh my God.
It's something. I will rip your head off and shit down your throat. Thanks, John.
Yeah, you act crazy. You act like you're crazy, and they're going to be scared because they're going to be like, oh my God, that guy's nuts. He's going to eat my fucking ears off my head. Here's my weed, dude.
Oh, man.
All right, here we go.
If you shit down someone's neck, do you do it through a hammock?
Oh, Tato.
No, a thong. Did you know he used a thong as a mask?
Yes.
And he got kicked out of the airport?
Oh
I thought they arrested him.
Yeah, they did. They said it wasn't appropriate. It was a black thong. That was all he had. Okay, dear John, I can't live anymore. I don't know what to do. There's nothing to live for. I'm reaching out to you as my last hope. Gary Q. Answer. I gotcha. Well, there are two possibilities here. First, if you are terminally ill or similar and are in excruciating, unending pain, you want to end it. If this is truly the case, I am fully with you on this, my friend, and whatever help I can give you, I will. Now then, your mental problem, I know full well, is your fear of those final minutes or seconds during which you are exiting. As Shakespeare said, we oft bear those ills that we have rather than flee to those we know not of. Yep, you've reached out to the right man. A heroin overdose, according to those who didn't quite succeed, is the ultimate way to end this burden of dreams. Yes, it does, in fact, from the observer's viewpoint, look horrific. But the subjective experience, I have been told personally by those who came back, is a bliss that paths human understanding. What? This is weird. I am opening my Twitter DM to you. If you can convince me that this is your situation, I will arrange, I promise you, for a gentleman to personally deliver a package to you and who will sit with you and explain the trivial procedure of accomplishing your goal. May your exit be monumental. Now then, possibility number 2. You are massively depressed, emotionally destroyed, angry, lost, alone, all of the above and more. And you want to put a bullet in your head, jump headfirst from the 30th floor of a building, or put a grenade in your mouth and pull the pin. Been there. Well, my friend, let me explain something to you. You just won the fucking lottery. Now hear me out. If you look at your situation in the right way, you will see that you have just become a god among men. Think about it now. You no longer have anything to lose. You're free. You no longer give a flying fuck. You can do any goddamn thing you want. Hell yeah. Wow, like those wingsuit mofos. You know the ones. Wearing those flying squirrel-looking outfits and zooming just inches from cliffs and soaring down mountains. Fuck me, dude. Gotta be the greatest thrill in the world. What a fucking way to go out. Might not even kill yourself the first time. You could hop back in that plane and do it again. Or no, wait. Oh, this is good. Think about all the things you ever wanted to do but never had the courage to follow through with. You ain't afraid now, are you, dude? Have a friend drive you naked through town in the back of a pickup and piss on every traffic cop you see. Or oh yes, this is good. That chick you've always known and wanted you and you wanted her, but you were too clumsy and shy to initiate anything. Yeah, that one. Run up to her fucking apartment, bang on the fucking door, and when she opens it, grab her, push her up against the wall, and F her 8 ways from Sunday. Do every fucking thing in your life you've ever wanted to do. Revel in being a god among men. And thank you for contacting me. Nothing I like better than helping folks. I'm always here for you. And my DM will work even if you're not dying from cancer. In case you still need it. John McAfee.
All right, I'm going to tell Dad to sign off before the John McAfee Dear Johns.
That's really disturbing, that whole situation with the heroin and the coming back and that experience.
Mm-hmm.
That's weird. Because I think maybe he experienced that before. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
I think
That's
a
what it
lot of
sounds
that
like.
was him speaking about himself.
Yep. I've got one on my screen if you want me to read it.
Yeah, please.
Dear John, what's the best drug? Answer. That's like asking me, what's the best clothes? For what? The Bahamas? Siberia? A sailing cruise? What is your goal? What are you trying to achieve through the drug? Enhanced sex? Introspection? A religious experience? Studying for an exam? Increased awareness? Or maybe just plain fun, and even then, what kind of fun? The kind where you wake up in the morning with no clue why you're wearing high heels and a dog collar?
Oh my God.
The kind you have by watching a ball game with friends? The kind you get riding a four-wheeler alone in the woods, or a jet ski on the open ocean? There are literally hundreds of drugs and thousands of combinations that can give you experiences ranging from being kissed by God to listening to the sound of the pulse of the universe, or experiencing yourself as the opposite sex. I cannot answer them all, but here are some guidelines for beginners. Hallucinogenic experiences.
Lord.
LSD, DMT, shrooms, ayahuasca? I don't know what that says. Ayahuasca.
Yeah.
The usual, if however you want to experience the god of hallucinogenics, try methylene dioxyprovalerone.
Whoa.
That is a mouthful. The only known drug to evoke both tactile and auditory hallucinations. First time I took it, I was standing in the line at the bank and actually felt, fully and completely, a woman giving me head, and I could clearly hear her gobbling and choking. Looking down, no one there. Just a massive erection.
Hey, she offered, okay? She offered to read. This is not my fault.
I didn't even read ahead on this one, so...
There's your first mistake.
This is raw potatoes.
But be careful with MDPV, the most powerful and dangerous drug ever designed. For empathogenic experiences of loving the world and all in it, use one or more of the entactogens. MDMA, 6-APD, methylone, AET, MDAI, AMT. Ooh, that will scare somebody. For enhanced sex, well, MDPV, APBP, and APHP will take you to a level that defies explanation and a place you never dreamed existed in the realm of sex. Be fucking prepared.
But I guarantee you Potato's face is like a tomato right now. The potato has turned into a tomato, I promise.
Potato, tomato, tomato.
It's so cute. I can like hear her her bashfulness like through her voice. It's so funny.
Stimulants. Too many to list here. Start with amphetamines washed down with espresso and work your way up from there. There is way too much to say and discuss in this short reply. If you truly want to become a member of the Society of Psychonauts, go to bluelight.org and hang out there for a few months. It will change your life. And drop all of your preconceptions, fear, hang-ups, and judgments. Heroin, for example, though it cannot possibly be recommended, was the only drug to show me what it felt like to be kissed by God. Tread with care in this realm of mighty tools, weapons, magical transport, and dangerous temptations. Godspeed, John McAfee.
Oh gosh, that picture.
Sorry, I know it's really hot, but...
Ew, not after reading that. Yikes.
Oh man.
I got potatoes. But this is interesting to note. This was taken in the Spanish jail. That was right before he got gone. But then look at the bottom right. Does that even look like him?
Totally looks so different.
Yeah, that doesn't even look like him to me. It's so
Like his
weird.
beard looks pure white.
I know.
It looks like he lost a lot of weight.
Yeah.
I know, but like this one on the left is him in that Spanish prison, and the one on the right? Like, say what?
Like, how long between those two?
He was only in there a year. That is not him. I'm
That's
sorry.
crazy. How
Come
do you go
on.
full on white beard in that time?
Look how gaunt he is.
Yeah.
I don't know, unless this one was taken when he first went in, and then the one on the bottom right was right before he died. He looks terrible. If that's him, I mean, he talks. There's a video of this. I mean, this is like a court hearing in Spain.
He looks so different.
I mean, do you think he was like not eating and stuff? Look at how skinny.
I mean, maybe.
If it is him, that is really sad to me. Because this is what he looked like, I think, when he went in.
There is so much sorrow in prison disguised as hostility. The sorrow is plainly visible even in the most angry faces. I am old and content with food and a bed, but for the young, prison is a horror, a reflection of the minds of those who conceived them. So he wasn't like very upset that he was in prison, according to that tweet, and that was June 10th.
Well, I don't think that he intended on being there long.
No, I don't think so either.
And I don't think he was worried about it. He was just happy he wasn't in Belize. Because the Belizeans wanted to kill him. They were going to kill him.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
And he knew it.
Wrote, too, he goes, if anything ever happens to me, please know that there are 31 terabytes of files that I have. Files I have are located on hard drives in my condo near 88th Street and Collins Avenue, just north of Miami Beach.
Shut up.
Mm-hmm.
When did that go out? When did he tweet that?
I don't have a date on
I
that
wonder
one.
where Janice is living.
They said the building in Florida had an explosion or something right after. The building collapsed in a bomb.
What?
That had his files in it. I think that's what they're saying.
I'm Googling that right now. What year was that? 2021?
Yeah.
Oh my God, is that the condos?
Yeah, let me see.
The condos
is that the one that? I wonder if it is.
You're talking about the condo collapse, the big.
I didn't know it was the same condo.
June 25th, 2021. AP News. John McAfee didn't own condo and collapsed Florida building. That's what he said. He had it in there, but how did he know it was going to collapse? Why would he pick that building?
I don't know.
Wait, when did he tweet the shit?
I don't have a date on it.
The conspiracy theorists are attempting to connect the death of antivirus software entrepreneur John McAfee to the Florida high-rise building that partially collapsed on June 24th. McAfee was found dead June 23rd. The next day, a condominium in Surfside, Florida collapsed, resulting in at least 4 deaths and more than 150 people missing. The two events are unrelated, but some social media users say there's a nefarious connection. John McAfee owned a unit at that building that collapsed. The address of the building was 8777 Collins Avenue South. And that was an Instagram post on June 25th. Below the text is a screenshot of a purported June 8th tweet from McAfee that reads, if anything ever happens to me, please know that the 31, whatever you just read.
Yeah, terabytes.
But there is no evidence to support these claims. The McAfee tweet is fabricated. Really? And while the exact cause of the building collapse remains unknown, officials say no foul play is suspected. What? They never figured out what the fuck happened?
Don't you think that's kind of important?
Abort mission.
Yeah.
Abort mission.
I'm sorry, Jay. I'm not living in any condos in Florida.
No. A screenshot of the tweet matches the details of McAfee's official Twitter profile, but there is no trace of the post on his page.
I thought they took his Twitter down.
All he would have had to do was delete it. An advanced search of McAfee's profile shows he never published the tweet. I'm sorry, I got to show you guys the black and white.
Wait.
Nope.
An advanced search?
No, hold on, Google fingers. Hold on, Google fingers, because I got to show this in black and white. You can't make this shit up. If I end up dead, know that I did not a la Epstein myself.
Oh my God.
I'm just kidding. But no, I mean, I want you to see this in black and white. This is the AP. This is straight up their website.
Well, I didn't know about, like, any of this.
Yeah, you know why? Because we weren't paying fucking attention because everybody had COVID.
No, I wasn't.
I know.
Apparently April was.
No one was because everyone had COVID. That's why COVID... I'm not going to go there tonight. It's too much. It's too fucking much. And I'm telling you, there's no such thing as coincidences.
So it does say June 8th, 2021 on his tweet.
The screenshot of the tweet matches the details of McAfee's official Twitter profile, but there's no trace of the post on his page. An advanced search. Now, let me click on what they mean by advanced search. Look, this is their advanced search. See the chicken? That's their proof that he never made that tweet.
How's that proof?
Because they think people are too stupid and people will think this is actually an advanced search.
Who put that report out?
The AP. USA Today.
Oh.
USA Today. Okay, so it says on June 8th, he posted 2 tweets. One of which has the same timestamp as the purported screenshot, indicating it could have been the template for a digitally fabricated tweet. Who would digitally fabricate something about the fucking condos? Why?
Yeah.
Like, what? Neither mentioned hard drives stored at a condo near Miami Beach. The only McAfee tweet about 31 terabytes of files is from June 9th, 2019, in which he claimed...
I thought that said June 8th.
Yeah, they're saying that he did tweet about 31 terabytes of files on the 9th. But in which he claimed he owned incriminating data on corruption in governments. But he never said where the files were located. Or the kind of thing. But they're denying that he posted on the 8th about the condos. But they're admitting on the 9th he did post about the files.
Mm-hmm.
But didn't say where they were. And then we go on to talk about this QAnon thing, deep state, blah, blah, blah. I'm not getting into all that. It's too fucking late. Key review of property records at the Champlain Tower South condo building found that neither McAfee or his wife, Janice, are listed as owners of any units. Like that means anything when it comes to John McAfee.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Investigators are still looking into the cause of the collapse. Miami-Dade County Mayor Daniela Levine Cava told ABC News that while foul play is not ruled out, at this point, there's nothing to indicate that. Look at that fucking picture. Are you kidding me right now? Hello, Oklahoma City bombing. What?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't pay that close attention to this collapse. I'm going to be honest. We were blinded by COVID.
Yeah, I don't even know, like, it just kind of, like, went off the news and that was it.
I thought it was an engineering structural problem.
I thought it was too.
Fuck, that's what they wanted us to think, apparently. 18 people died, and how many were missing? You know, did we even really watch this back then?
No, I didn't.
Let's watch this video. And now, mind you, this is USA Today. Take it with what you will.
To me, when I've been speaking with the engineers, is they said it's really unlikely that there's one smoking gun. Each thing individually wouldn't have caused this building to collapse, but you add one thing and one thing and one thing, and at a certain point, the building fails. June 24th, Surfside condo in southern Florida collapsed. When I've been speaking with both geotechnical engineers and structural engineers, they're seeing some interesting things. So there's 3 separate towers. The center tower looks as if the top 2 or 3 floors begin to drop slightly. That may be where the failure began, which is a surprise and not what we had expected. The building's from 1981, so it's not inordinately old. Some people have wondered if there was movement of the soil, if there had been differential settling. So perhaps the sand underneath that building had been settling more, perhaps towards the ocean side and less towards the bay side. That would more likely, they have said, would have caused a failure at the bottom. And what we're seeing from the video looks like a failure from the top. I actually spoke yesterday with the author of a book, Why Buildings Fall Down. He's a structural engineer who studies building collapse. One of the things he said is that you will see lots of different things happening. Maybe there was more salt water in the ground than was originally planned for the building when it was built. Maybe there was more weight on the roof than it had originally been planned for. They will conduct a forensic investigation. This is a process that takes months and sometimes years.
You know, like, why hasn't this ever happened to any other condos?
Anywhere, not just in Florida.
Yeah, I mean, think
like
about
anywhere.
Mexico, all those condos in everywhere on both coasts. I mean, how long does it take to conduct a forensic? I mean, they were quicker to come to a conclusion on the damn Oklahoma City bombing.
Yeah.
Oh, this is the whole QAnon thing. See, I was asleep during this. And I prefer to just act like I skipped that part of life. But now it's coming up in my face. You know what I'm saying? Like, I didn't pay attention to it then. Look at Daily Mail.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, how can you
retweet something if it's not there?
Hmm.
Or like something that's not there? What's quote tweets?
It means they quoted it and then typed something. Like share, like,
oh,
you know, shared it, quoted it, and then typed something as well instead of just retweeting it. June 9th from Cuba, Twitter for Android. So there's 2 different versions that were out there. June 8th. I have 1 million followers, but I'd be surprised if even 1% bother to read my tweets. Is it lost in a near infinite Twitterverse, like tears and rain? As you may guess, I'm having a down day. So who was tweeting this for him if he was in jail?
I don't know, but he had a bunch of tweets while he was in there.
I know. So who was doing it? Janice? Because she wasn't in there. The U.S. believes I have hidden crypto. I wish I did, but it is dissolved through the many hands of Team McAfee. Your belief is not required, and my remaining assets are all seized. My friends evaporated through fear of association. I have nothing, yet I regret nothing. The 16th of June.
The 23rd of May, he said, I once had everything. After unaccountable lawsuits in the reach of the feds, I now have nothing. But inside these prison bars, I have never felt more free. The things you believe you own, in reality, own you.
I mean, I'm not trying to be mean, but I don't see tears streaming down her cheeks. And you know how we always look for that?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not trying to judge her grief if she is grieving. But, you know, we always pay attention to that.
Well, that was the big thing with the Amber Heard. When she was crying, we all looked for tears, and there were none.
Let's watch this clip. It's a minute long. It says, antivirus tycoon says he had control over all government computers.
The reason that the government wanted to collect me was that after they had raided my property in 2012 in the jungle, shot my dog, abused me, destroyed $500,000 worth of my property over a bogus charge, I was pissed off. And so I donated to many secretaries within the government laptop computers, really nice ones that were preloaded with viral spyware. Within a week, the entire government computer system was under my control. I was watching, monitoring, listening. I was looking for information that they had set me up for that raid. I didn't find that. I did find out that the Minister of National Defense was the largest drug trafficker in all of Central America. And the Minister of Immigration, the largest human trafficker.
Wait, what?
I did find out that the Minister of National Defense was the largest drug trafficker in all of Central America. And the Minister of Immigration, the largest human trafficker.
We don't want to get killed by them either, so we're probably not going to
That's fine. That's fine.
It was getting a little hot.
Yeah, like that's abort mission shit. Wow. No wonder he was scared. Presentation tonight. Did you learn a lot about John that you didn't know?
Yeah, things that I still don't want to know, but
My last name's Dirk.
no, I did. I learned a lot. And I didn't know about all this connection stuff, like with that condo.
Oh, me either. We learned so much from our chatters. We really do. Yeah. It's mind blowing. And I think that, a lot of people might start watching his videos like I did. I was like, I got to watch this. It's pretty interesting.
Well, until you told me the other day that he had a YouTube, I had no idea. Like, I wouldn't go searching for John McAfee on YouTube.
Right. If only I was on YouTube then and saw like his challenge with his videos and shit like that. Like, it would have been funny to interact with him. Thank you for subscribing tonight. And John McAfee, if you're listening, we love you. And we hope you are relaxing on a beautiful beach somewhere and being left the fuck alone. All right, you guys, take care. I will see you guys. And until then, get a good night's sleep. See you guys tomorrow. Be safe. Oh, and dance it out by all means. Be sure to check out my other videos and playlists for more true crime content. And if that's not enough, you can join our Patreon. Don't have a tinfoil hat? It's okay. We'll make you one. It's that easy. See you guys in the next video.
See you later. Bye.
I don't give a damn. I don't really care about you and your problems. I don't give a damn. You talk way too much. I have heard enough about you and your problems. I don't give a damn. 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 You wanna be with me. You wanna feel something real, but I'm feeling differently. You're making plans to get to friends, but don't wanna face the fact that I ain't got time, I ain't got time, I ain't got time for that. Staying up late, sleeping all day, dreaming about Cadillacs. Buying new shoes, hanging by the pool, sipping on Coke and Jack. Calling my phone when you feel alone, but I'll never call you back. 'Cause I ain't got time, I ain't got time, I ain't got time for that. I don't give a damn, I don't really care about you and your problems. I don't give a damn. You talk way too much. I have heard enough about you and your problems. I don't give a damn. 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 You're mad at me for not giving you comfort. You say that I'm away so much and now